All right. It says we are live. Hello, everyone. This is the sound check portion of the podcast.
The pre-Swede show, if you will.
Yes. So please let us know how we sound.
Yes.
Do we sound good? Do we sound bad?
Do you remember what we sound like? Because it has been a couple weeks.
Yes.
Although I guess we kind of had something last week.
We had content in between.
Yeah. We had the hockey draft for one.
Oh, yeah. Which I didn't even realize you were doing a live stream for that.
It was very ad hoc.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have nothing prepared. Nobody knows how to fucking play this fantasy thing.
No, I'm looking at it like, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, I have no idea. And we'll talk about it a little bit in the show, especially in the post show, because hopefully our fellow hockey people will be in there. I'm back this up just a smidge.
That's what she said. Hey, can anybody hear us? Not seeing much in the chat.
We need feedback.
I know there's a couple of you in there.
Give us feedback. God damn it. I
know there is a bit of a delay, so they might have already typed it. We just haven't seen it.
Perhaps. I agree with you that I know you mentioned that we should probably have Nick and I probably should have done another show with the head coaching thing.
Oh yeah.
Maybe after the coaching is the head coach is selected.
Okay, there you go.
I'm going to do something like that.
Yeah, then you can give the Peterson
in
memoriam. And then of course I guess we've got to still find out what happens with Wentz.
Yeah.
So that's the big question mark.
Oh, there's all dude. If you believe any of the reports coming out of there about Wentz being a pain in the ass, it's like fuck. No. It's such a shit show.
Yeah. All right, so we sound good. Oh, I didn't pour my drink yet. So yeah, I was telling Dave beforehand, I'm trying to start to pull back on the drinking. So I'm gonna just have one glass of wine tonight. So. What's so funny? Everything all right?
Totally worth it. Fucking.
Hold on, I'm pouring my wine.
How do you even drink out of that? Let's see.
We'll find out. Cheers. I can foresee some messes happening with this.
That's fantastic. I love it. Well, my jeans are going to smell like bourbon because I fucking managed to splash on myself with a fucking lid. I got a sippy cup lid and I managed to splash it on myself.
Don't get pulled over tonight.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the idea anyway.
Yeah. So we got Scott, we got Kay Olson, we got Bronco Fett. Bronco Fett, this episode is for you, sir. I know you've been wanting this for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Cheers to that. Is that even considered a glass? That's almost
no idea.
It should be rated like a fish tank would be. Like, this is how many gallons of filtration you need for this.
The backstory on this is this was going to be the next thing that Kristen brought ice out in.
Oh, and she never got a chance to because we haven't done ice?
Well, yeah, that and the fact that she works pretty much every Monday night now. So she's never here for the show.
Sad face.
Yeah.
Or there's got to be a way to bring that into the show somehow.
I just did.
This is true. But we're not in the show.
I thought it was a pretty good bit.
I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So it sounds like sound check is good.
All right. And I know a couple of you people have my phone number, and you will text me when and if my sound goes out. It wouldn't be an episode of the show if it didn't.
Or mine, for that matter, because mine went out the one time.
Yeah. So Dave is apparently not immune.
Well, I mean, one time out of, it's kind of like getting COVID, right? It's like one out of how many thousands?
Don't even talk to me about that. It's a terrible analogy.
I would agree, especially since 100% of the people on this podcast had fucking COVID.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Oh, we'll talk about it too. There's a part of my week about that. So, it's 5 minutes early, but I'm ready.
We could go early.
All right.
That doesn't scare me.
I would hope not. I would hope that doesn't scare you of all things.
You'd be surprised.
All right.
All right. So which countdown is the right one?
You got the right one, baby.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Have you seen the they bring in
the retro commercials?
Yeah, the Bud Light commercials.
The one with "I love you, man."
Yeah.
You're not getting my Bud Light. I remember that when that was in like the early 90s.
I know it doesn't
when that
seem
came
like,
out for the first
but
time.
fucking Cedric the Entertainer. Like, remember when he was like, they did the one commercial, he put the Bud Lights on top of a anthill and he was like dancing.
That I don't remember.
They just showed it this week on I think during the Saints game. It was on there.
I don't know.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it does, like, Cedric the Entertainer was relevant 20 plus years ago. This is really what that commercial reminded me.
Okay. Fair enough.
So many things to remind us of how old we are.
Mm-hmm.
It's genuinely disconcerting.
Yeah. It's funny too, that one with the son and the dad and the fish boat.
Mm-hmm.
That was like a running bit with me and my friends for like a year after that. We just come up to each
you,
other randomly.
man.
I love you, man.
Mm-hmm. No, you're not getting it. Bronco Fett's giving us the Bud Wise.
I remember the very first time I saw that commercial.
Yep.
That was 94.
94.
Yeah, we were watching the Super Bowl at our my family's friend's house across the street.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly was the mom's name. She's pretty hot too.
That's why you remembered it.
I do, yeah. But I mean, obviously, she was like close to my mom's age. So anyway, what was I talking about?
I don't know, Kelly's mom.
Oh yeah, no,
or
Kelly, yeah.
Yes.
And they lived across the street. Doug and Kelly, that were their names.
Okay.
They ended up divorcing. But
why does that not surprise me?
Yeah. So yeah, we were watching the Super Bowl at their house, and that commercial came on, and like everybody was like talking and everything,
right?
Because with a lot of adults there, and I'm just sitting there watching the commercials, and I'm watching them like, that's the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And everybody around me like didn't even notice it.
It was, and it was it was a thing for a while too. After I was done.
Oh yeah, they drug that shit out for like 4 years. Bud Wise.
That I saw that commercial. We had a church youth group Super Bowl party, and we were at Chris Smythe's house, and we were sitting around and remember that commercial being on.
Nice.
I think that's a good setup for
the
doing the Super Bowl, like kind of lead in show.
Yeah. Oh, Don, stay in. We're addressing the escape pod early in this podcast. Before we even get into our weeks, we're addressing the escape pod. So and anyway, are we ready to start?
Yeah, let's do the countdown.
All right, let's do it.
Here we go. Ready, right, meow.
From a Gen X point of view, it was brought to you today by
podbelly.com. Friends, are you interested in podcasts? I'm
oh, yes, I am.
Oh, well, if you are interested in podcasts or podcasting, you need to go to podbelly.com. Check it out, peeps. Go to podbelly.com. You have access to not only awesome podcasts like, I don't know, the Gen X point of view, from a Gen X point of view podcast, maybe this Mindframe podcast and some other stuff. There's some good shit here, right? Wouldn't you say?
I'd say so.
And then if you even want more good shit, you can go to the podcast directory, and there are literally dozens of other podcasts. Oh, we know these guys pretty well. We know these escape pod guys who are, I have a feeling, are going to get lambasted here in a minute.
Just a little bit.
So if you're interested in podcasting as a listener, podbelly.com is a good place to start. If you're interested in starting your own podcast, you can go to podbelly.com, and it'll teach you how to start a podcast. It'll talk about the technologies. It'll talk about social media, all that good stuff. So go to podbelly.com. Tell them the From a Gen X Point of View podcast sent you.
Yes, and you will do it. Speaking of podcasts, what is this podcast talking about this week, Dave?
Transformers, more than meets the eye. I was working on that, but it wasn't as raspy enough.
That's right.
Sorry.
Something tells me this is not the only time we're going to talk about Transformers on this podcast.
More than meets the eye.
Yes, exactly. So we are talking about Transformers. Specifically, we're going to cover everything up to and not including Transformers the movie. I feel like that could be its own episode.
Oh, it has to be. It 100% has to be.
And then all the shit that happened after that. We're just covering those early couple of years, the 1984 to 1986 Transformers, Gen 1, as some people call it.
Right.
But it's only even a fraction of the full Gen 1. We'll get there, but we're talking about Transformers. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah. I forgot how much I not just wanted, how much, it's not about how much I enjoyed Transformers. It's about how much I wanted Transformers.
Yes, and I have very similar stories about that.
So I know I feel like we're going to come from similar places with that. But in the meantime, what is this? What is happening?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm very distracted by the chat now.
Oh, now I have to go into the chat.
Because the escape pod. Like, all right, before we even talk about MLK or the Powerball, let's talk about the escape pod since we've already brought it up.
Right.
So you know what probably happened in Michigan over the last couple of weeks?
What's that?
They overheard us talking about how we were going to do Transformers,
right,
as a main topic of the podcast. They're like, fuck. Well, we wanted to do Transformers, and they're probably going to take G.I. Joe next, so we need to, like, hop on it, and we need to do fucking G.I. Joe before these motherfuckers. So if you were a fan of the Escape Pod, or you listen to podcasts and want more podcasts to listen to, go check out the Escape Pod, who 2 days from now are going to record their G.I. Joe episode, fucking snaking the topic out from under us,
Sons
motherfuckers.
Especially after we made the announcement, too, that we're going to be doing, like, oh, here's our format. We're going to do this, then we're going to do movies, we're going to do music, and, so there'll be spacing for other stuff. So now it's like, you can't, let's face it, there's plenty of good content for everybody, but, next time, some coordination. We could do some coordinating.
Something that could have been brought to our attention yesterday. But no, go check out the Escape Pod. They're talking about G.I. Joe this week because there's a lot of intertwining connections between G.I. Joe and Transformers. And those are our boys. They like to steal our topics, so whatever.
Bastards.
Yep. Indeed. So we're recording this today on Monday the 18th. Today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Right.
Just wanted to tell everybody out there, if you want to do anything to honor the memory of Martin Luther King, just go by his words. Judge people by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. And really, it's, without getting too deep into politics, because there's been so much politics bullshit going on in the last, 4 years, but really even just in the last couple of weeks, you can only control you and the environment immediately around you,
right?
As you've talked about quite a bit.
Yeah, with that stoic mindset of you can only control your choices and your decisions and what goes on around you.
Yep.
And you can't worry about all those other things and what they're doing or thinking.
Yeah. So the best way to honor him is control your environment, yourself and your environment. Treat people based on the content of their character, not the color of their skin. Treat everybody equally. I personally hate everybody equally,
right?
But to each their own, pass down good values to your kids, have them do the same thing. And that's really all you can do. Don't sweat all the bullshit going on in the news, the media and all that, because quite frankly, it's all a bunch of bullshit. And it's why I'm completely unplugging, which we'll talk about when we get to our weeks.
Right.
But you can only control you. Don't sweat all of the shit going on outside of your realm of control.
Exactly. You'll live longer.
Yeah. And I wish it had taken me less time to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, same, but it's better to figure it out late than not figure it out at all.
Indeed. All right. Anything else to add before we move on?
Nope.
So,
sage words.
Do you have your Powerball and Mega Millions tickets?
So my mother-in-law is in charge of the lottery stuff.
Okay.
So I'm sure she has procured said tickets. I know she did with the last one. I see. I can't play the lottery.
Okay.
The way it works for me is I just don't have that kind of luck, right? I joke with people that the luck that I've had, like, I've used up in not being killed in a fucking airplane, or you know what I mean?
Say that.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I've burned up all my fucking chances at luck. So if you
spent your 9 lives,
exactly. If I'm going to go gambling or something like that, I have zero expectation of winning anything because I generally don't. I don't have that type of luck. My mother-in-law is lucky like that, but she gambles more often, so I guess the percentages are there. But
sure,
it's still, like, I don't want to necessarily taint that with a loss.
Like throwing your
It's
your chips on that table.
I'm not gonna. We'll just put the L up on the board for me, and then we'll let other people fucking go and do that shit.
Yeah. No, see, I have kind of a general rule. I typically don't play the lottery on a regular basis until these jackpots get over like 500 million. That's my threshold.
Right.
When they get over 500 million, it's like, all right, I'll put my name in that hat. Because you can't win if you don't play.
Right.
So
what's really funny is I had this for years, I had this anti-lottery thing because I really felt like I saw so many people, it seemed like they were wasting so much money trying to chase that, right?
Oh yeah, when people buy like 50, 100 tickets, it's
they're constantly they're constantly chasing this thing. And then my grandfather actually played the lottery fairly frequently, right? And my grandfather, super intelligent, one of those human beings that I've idolized my entire life. And it really kind of struck me that he was doing this. And I asked him about it. And I was like, why the lottery? Why is this part of your habit pattern?
Sure.
And he said the same thing. It was like, well, you can't win if you don't play.
Right.
And the return on investment is huge.
Mm-hmm.
It's huge if you win.
Right.
Right. So if you're investing, if you're not going out there and doing it every single day, or however you choose to invest that's what it is. It's an investment. The stock exchange is no less fickle. It's just it gets a little bit better yield.
Sure.
But yeah, it's the return on investment. So if I felt like I had that lucky bone in my body, then I'd probably do it more often, but I don't. So
yeah. And it's to me, it's fun if you don't go stupidly crazy with it. So for me, like I said, whenever it gets over 500 million, I'll buy 5 tickets.
Okay.
For that particular drawing,
seems
right?
Reasonable.
$10, not the end of the fucking world.
Right.
And you get that moment of a few days where you get to kind of fantasize about what you're going to do with the money and everything, and what you're going to do when you're like this, multi-millionaire and all that. It's fun. It's obviously your chances of winning are almost zero.
Yeah.
But somebody has to win.
Yeah, exactly. If somebody has to win, and it might as well be you.
Yeah. And, full disclosure, part of my multimillionaire fantasy, if I win, actually includes you. So
really,
yeah,
nice. I will hope that you win also.
My plan basically was to hire you to be my head of security. So
nice. Get a super paranoid person to be your head of security. I like it. That's
good. Give you an absorbent. How do you say that word?
Exorbitant. Yeah.
Salary, and be like, make sure nobody gets fucking near me or my kids. You
done. We got to move out in New Jersey though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that you can't.
Oh yeah, no. This all had like me with this massive mansion with like a second house on the property that you and Kathy would live in, and trust me, I've thought all of this stuff through.
I love it.
So
I'm flattered that I'm included, and I will definitely secure the shit out of your fucking mansion.
Mm-hmm.
There'd be some Ready Player 2 shit happening.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I'll talk about it here in a second.
All right. Anything else on the lottery?
No. Good luck.
The first drawing is tonight, and then the other one's tomorrow, because both Mega Millions and Powerball are over 500,000. One's at 750, one's at 850 million.
Nice.
So it's like, fuck.
Yeah, got to do it.
Yep.
Good luck out there.
Indeed. So, all right. With that, it's about time for our weeks. You ready?
Yes.
All right. We'll start with me. It's actually been over a week now, but I got my my COVID vaccine, my first of 2 COVID vaccines.
Yes, which may or may not have affected the taping schedule of the podcast.
It did. It most certainly did. So if you're curious as to why last week's new audio episode was a week old and we kind of missed a week, even though we didn't because of the bonus episode that Nick and I did, we had steady audio content every week. But yeah, I got my fucking COVID vaccination and it felt like I got hit by a fucking truck and I had COVID all over again. Like, seriously, it was fucking crazy. So and they give you the shot. It's way high in your shoulder.
Really?
Yeah. And the funny thing was I barely felt it. Like, it didn't hurt at all.
Right.
Like, it just felt like a real quick dink and not nearly as painful as even like the flu shot.
Okay.
So anyway, I'm like, that's fucking weird.
You're probably a little desensitized too from the tattooing.
Right. Because they gave it in that same arm. She commented on my arm. I think well, never mind. I won't get into it. But, yeah. So, but then they put us in isolation because you got to remember these vaccinations are new and there's like stories of fucking allergic reactions and everything. So after you get this vaccination, you have to sit in this room for half an hour. to make sure that you don't get like fucking any kind of reactions. You don't just drop dead.
Huh.
So as I'm sitting in there, I'm like freaking out. I'm like, am I having trouble breathing? Because they give us this list of like all these fucking symptoms we should be watching out for, like as far as allergic reactions go, like swelling of the lymph nodes, shortness of breath.
It's like an anaphylaxis type.
Yeah,
type reaction.
exactly. And I'm like, God, am I doing this? Like, because I think they just built it up in our fucking heads so much.
Right.
So anyway, that all passed. I felt fine. Went home. Arm was starting to get a little sore. Just think about typhoid. Remember how sore your arm would get with typhoid?
Yeah, it felt like somebody was putting like a marble in your arm that you had to try and work out.
Yeah. So very similar to that. Woke up the next morning, that fucking just intense fatigue to where you can't even sit up out of bed hit me like a fucking truck. And I'm like, holy shit. It was like I stepped into a time machine and went back to fucking July when I actually had COVID. It was all of the same fucking COVID symptoms, all over body aches, that just fucking debilitating fatigue and headache. I didn't get headaches when we got COVID last time, but I know that is a big symptom when you get it. And I didn't get it last time, but fuck, after getting the vaccination, woke up with a just pounding fucking headache, in addition to the body aches and the fatigue.
Yeah, and you're somebody that is probably better hydrated than most. I mean, you pay attention to your water intake and everything else, so it's not necessarily a dehydration thing. How about, like, did you feel feverish? Like, did you get a fever?
I think it was when I first woke up in the morning, I felt feverish. I used our thermometer and I took my temperature. It was a little bit high, but not like fever high, but I felt like I was hot. Like it was like I was sick. And yeah, it kicked the shit out of me for a good day and a half. After about 2 days, I was pretty much fine, but fuck, man, it was like I had COVID again. And to compare me to some of the other people that got it when I did, a lot of the people felt no symptoms whatsoever. They felt the soreness in the arm, zero symptoms. So
yeah, I don't think that John had any after effect when he got his shot.
Yeah, so I don't know. I have my own theory. There are people who, when they get it COVID, they're just asymptomatic for whatever reason. Their bodies just don't react. They still have it. The virus is still in their system. They can give it to other people. They just don't feel like you and I felt when we got it.
Right.
I have a feeling that the bodies are reacting the same way to the vaccination that they would react to the actual virus.
Yeah, no, that's probably. I mean, that makes a lot of sense based on how these viruses work. You know, being the oddity for me with COVID, like the dichotomy between two people, right? You on this half of the table you're far and away healthier than I am. Like, but your fitness level is good, your hydration's good. You're always like, you're on that side of the spectrum where getting sick, you wouldn't ordinarily get sick. You know, you have your like 1 or 2 times per year where you get like a cold or the flu and then you're out and then it goes away. Yeah. Like for me, where my immune system is not great. And, you know, obviously I picked up COVID pretty easily and my symptoms were a lot different. I'm a little bit afraid of the vaccine.
Oh, really?
A little bit. I think because I have a feeling I'm going to have the same thing. I'm going to have a day where it's going to affect me. What scares me a little bit is because my breathing still isn't right. Really? We're talking about from July. So you're talking 6 months since I had it. Yeah. And I'm still having shortness of breath and everything else. And it's not as bad, obviously. Like I'm trying to, do the exercise bike and like doing activities to try and get like a little bit more oxygen flow.
You do get outdoors and get a lot of fresh air.
I try. I'm still not like, believe me, I'm not working out as much as I could, but I'm a little bit afraid of what's going to happen. Like, is it going to affect my breathing to the point where I'm going to need assistance?
Right.
That's a little scary. I'm still going to do it though. I mean, here's the reality. We're going to live in a world where if you don't have the vaccine, then you're going to be restricted. You're going to be restricted in your movements. I think that's a reality that we're going to have to face.
Yeah.
And if we're prepared for it, then it won't be that big a deal. But like if I want to travel at some point, Kathy and I want to travel and, have like a vacation or something like that, and we're not vaccinated, then it might affect whether or not we can, get into a location or something like that. You know what I mean?
Or even think about like relatives that might have higher risk, like my mother, for example.
Right.
Still fighting cancer, still dealing with all the treatments of that. Like, I don't want to go around her if I'm not vaccinated. So that's probably one of the driving factors for me wanting to get this vaccine over with, is I want to go home and see my family soon. So, but I wouldn't do that if I wasn't vaccinated because of, her risk and everything. So
I got distracted by the chat, and they're having some Transformers fighting words back and forth, and we'll get to that stuff. But yeah, I agree with you. I don't want to expose people unnecessarily. Mm-hmm. I'm still in that mindset. And by the way, when you get the fucking vaccine, like, here's the thing that people don't understand. A lot of people don't understand, not everybody, but all right, you got the vaccine. You can't just be like, "Phew, masks and social distancing are all gone." Because
as much as I would love to,
you have 2 weeks where it takes like 2 weeks for it to be in your system, and even before you get the booster, then it's like you have a 50% chance.
Yeah,
like out of and then after you get the second booster, then you have a 95% chance that you're going to be protected. Mm-hmm. And even after you get the shot, you have to give it time to get into and through your system.
Oh yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, it's not like the next day I wasn't gonna fucking burn my masks and
but I wonder
go hugging and kissing people on the mouth as much as I'd love to.
I wonder how just random people just gonna go kiss random people on the mouth.
Yeah, that's not cool. Like, what?
Apparently, hey, listen, no, it's not. It's not. I can't even think of a place off the top of my head where that'd be good. There's no sex in the champagne room.
Oh, okay, fuck. Times have changed, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Anyway,
downside of being Gen X. Anyway, moving on from COVID. So something else that I've been doing is, if you haven't been in the studio, really the only other person that has any frame of reference is Nick,
right,
who's been in the studio recently. I had the big TV taken out of here. I had my keyboard all set up, the piano, and the place was a big fucking mess. But I haven't been playing my Xbox. My Xbox One hadn't been turned on in months. And over Christmas, so this was probably a week before Christmas, somebody sent a message over this like group chat that I'm in, like, "Hey, the BX has fucking Xbox Ones in, or Xbox Series X's in,
the new ones,
okay, right?" So I'm like, well, fuck. The BX, AFIS, Army Air Force Exchange Service. They're the Walmart that's on every military base. They also give out credit lines. They gave me like this exorbitant amount of credit on their credit line that I had that I don't really use. So I'm like, well, I've got my AFIS credit. Yeah, fuck it. I'll go ahead and go over there and get it. These things are in pretty high demand. If nothing else, if I decide it's not really for me, I'll just turn around and sell it on the marketplace right before Christmas and maybe make a profit. Well, being the lazy fuck that I am, I never did that. So, in my hands,
shut up,
is still in the box Xbox Series X 1 terabyte system that I've had since the week before Christmas. I like debated a lot of things. Like, I debated, well, do we give it to the kids as a group Christmas present? But we had already gotten all of their Christmas presents.
Right.
Like, do I just still try to sell it even though Christmas is over and maybe the demand is still out there?
Demand is still out there.
Or do I just fucking keep it for myself? And as of right now, I'm leaning towards keeping it for myself.
Yeah, I know that my beautiful wife, Kathleen, had actually was on a hunt for one of those to try and get me for Christmas and couldn't. They were just completely unavailable.
It sucks.
And so I'm hoping that since that was it, kind of look, hey, this was in the site picture before. Maybe if it does become available, that we can figure that out and make that happen. Because I have one of the original Xbox Ones, right, when it first came out. And I don't even how old is that platform now? It's a few years old.
Oh, it's a lot of years old. Jamie, pull that up.
Yeah.
But we've had the Xbox One, the Xbox Series S, no, the Xbox One S, and the Xbox One X. Great naming convention, by the way, Microsoft.
Yeah.
Way to not try to confuse anybody.
Well, listen, we are obviously Xbox guys, but
Yeah.
PlayStation at least fucking numerically has numbered their systems.
Yeah.
In an
Makes
appropriate
fucking
manner.
sense, you fucking idiots. But anyway, so in addition to still debating as to whether or not I want to bust open the Xbox Series X, I fired up the Xbox One over the last few days. Massive update obviously had to happen before I could do anything, but I did that, and I also subscribed to the Game Pass. I don't know how familiar you are with that.
I had subscribed a while back.
Yeah. And I know the Game Pass is the big selling point for the Xbox Series X.
Right.
Because there's a lot of games on there that are optimized for the Series X, like upgraded to 4K graphics, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So that was one reason I'm like, well, fuck, let me see what's on here. I'll upgrade to that.
Is this the 4K? This
Yeah.
TV?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that is a 4K TV. So, and I fired up, I went back to our original Battlefront from 2015.
Nice.
Battlefront 1. And dude, it's still the best Star Wars experience you can have in a video game, in my opinion.
No, dude, I agree.
And there's a lot of good Star Wars video games out there, but nothing beats just fucking playing blast maps over and over again on Battlefront 1. And there's still people out there online doing it.
That's the best part.
Yeah.
That's the best part, that there's still people on those servers.
Yeah.
Without having to go through a bunch of fucking VPNing and because I think there's still a lot of people that have active servers with a lot of old games, but you have to. They're not being maintained by the developer anymore.
No, they're probably private servers.
Yeah, so you can still do it. In fact, I went on Steam and downloaded the Call of Duty World at War, the original zombies.
Yeah.
Because I've been super into the zombies lately. So, and if you do it, you can weasel your way into a fucking map where they're still doing multiplayer on that. So that'd be pretty cool. But dude, I still can't believe you got that fucking thing. I'm so jealous right now.
Well, yeah, and it was all because a couple of guys in my squadron are like, "Hey, BX has Xbox Ones right now, or Xbox Series X's." Grr!
I don't even. What do we shorten that to? What can we shorten that?
Series X. Maybe we just call it the Xbox X, or the X.
The X.
Yeah, the X.
Xbox X.
Xbox X.
Series X.
Series X. Okay, the Xbox X.
Xbox X.
Yeah, so I now have an Xbox X.
Nice.
That I'm still thinking about busting out and hooking up. But the only issue I have with that is I don't know what fucking games are out for it that I would actually give a shit about. I know they were really hyping it for the next Halo game, but that's not out yet. Granted, I still haven't played Halo 4 or 5, so I could just go back and get caught up on those, which are on the Game Pass, by the way.
Right.
So I'm thinking about doing that and then maybe be hyped for Halo 10 or whatever
it's going to be.
Whatever one it is.
Dude, I don't think I've played a Halo game.
Halo 6.
I don't think I've played a Halo game. It's been a long time since I played a Halo game.
I loved Halo 1 and 3. 1 and 3 were some of the best video game experiences I've ever had. Thank you, Lunar Girl. But yeah, Halo 1 and 3, great games in and of themselves. The rest of them, well, I mean, I played Halo 2, was not that thrilled with it. I barely touched 4. What I did play of 4 did seem pretty fun, but I didn't get very far into it at all and haven't played 5 at all. So
you know what? There's so many other games that have that similar experience. It's remember Chuck Brinzer? Like one of his big things with Halo and other shit, he's like, he doesn't dig on aliens. Like he won't play Destiny or Halo or anything like that because doesn't like the aliens or shooting aliens. He'd rather play Modern Warfare than shoot people.
Sure.
Which
to each their own, I guess.
I mean, I love the Destiny game. I'm way. That is a money sink though, because as they basically when they run an update, they run a completely new game and a new storyline and everything else. And I was keeping up with it for a minute, but unfortunately, I don't have that kind of time to keep up with that. So I'd rather, again, my attention span being what it is, I'd rather continue to play something that, hey, here's a 15-minute round of blast and enjoy the shit out of it and play a couple rounds and then go to bed.
Yep.
It's basically what's in it.
And in the chat, I did fail to mention that my son Ben has been begging and pleading for me to play Halo Reach for years now. He really wants me to play Halo Reach. Apparently Halo Reach is like one of his favorite games.
Okay.
And he's been like dying for me to play it.
Nice.
So I need to get on that.
Yeah. You need to get that thing out of the box and fucking fire it up.
What's in the box?
And you need to make you should do an unboxing video.
Ooh. Well, I have been thinking about some things we can do on the podcast to kind of broaden our horizons, so to speak.
Right.
And yeah, maybe that'll be one of them. Do an unboxing YouTube video.
Yeah, you should. Absolutely. You have it. Right. I want to see what's in the box.
All right. Well, fuck. Maybe I'll bring you over one day
go.
when we're both off.
And we can fire it up.
Fire it up, hook it up to the TV.
Does it come with one controller or two?
I would assume one. It's,
yeah, probably.
Come on.
Fuckers.
This is not fucking 1988.
Yeah.
It's like, remember the days, guys, when video game consoles used to come with 2 controllers and at least 1 game, if not up to 3?
Yep.
No, we don't get that these days. You get the console, 1 controller, no games, and you'll like it.
Yeah, and you'll fucking take it in the ass and you'll like it.
Yeah. So, all right. My week is going on really long. Where's Ivo G?
I know, right?
So I still got a couple of things to hit. The gym, right? Holidays are over. I've still been going to the gym. Even during the holidays, I was going to the gym. I only had to take breaks for my tattoo. But, you know, I'm trying to get over the holiday hump where I know I picked up some weight. My gut got a little bit bigger while the rest of me really didn't. And quite frankly, I know I've talked about this before on the show, but I feel like I kind of plateaued when it came to my my development,
right?
My physique when it comes to, you know, me going to the gym.
You said development and made me think of puberty for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah, we can talk about that later. But so, you know, I feel like I've kind of plateaued in like the improvements I can make just going to the gym by myself with the basic shit that I know how to do.
Right.
So one thing that I've started doing is I signed up with a personal trainer.
Okay.
I have my first personal trainer session tomorrow night. Actually.
Nice.
So I met with the guy today and he's like, well, what do you want? I'm like, well, to be quite honest, I feel like my chest and my biceps are not where I want them to be. I just want to look good, right? I don't give a shit about living longer or anything else. I just want to look good. He's like, all right, I can help you with that.
Yeah, he's going to have some HGH for you to fucking, you know, the cure. How much you shoot this in the back of your neck.
As long as it doesn't show up on a piss test, whatever.
Therein lies the problem.
Yeah. So, but no, he's going to set me up with a good workout routine. And, you know, I know a lot of it's my form. Mm-hmm. Like, because again, I've never done any of this shit on a regular basis. It's just like whatever some random guys from my work showed me how to do, right? Or whatever I've looked up on the fucking internet.
You played Pee Wee football, right? Did you play all the way through high school?
I played 1 year in 8th grade, and then I played 3 years in high school.
Okay. So you had weight room. That's probably the last time you had structured fucking.
And even then, it was like if you weren't in like the fucking clique of guys that knew what the fuck they were doing, which I clearly was not. And if the coaches really didn't give a shit about you, which they didn't give a shit about me, you got no attention. You still had no idea what the fuck you were doing. It's like, just go lift some weights or do something.
Nice.
It's like, what do I do?
Ironically, the best where I learned the most about like working out was while I was swimming. We actually had weight room sessions at like the Y in Voorhees, right? Which is now, I don't know, it was something else. It's your gym.
Oh, right? The Giant Fitness.
Yeah, Giant Fitness.
Yeah, that's where I go every day.
We'd be have a weekend session in the pool there, and we'd use the weight room, and we'd have like a full weight room session and do all this different stuff. And
but they would tell you what to do. Like
that's what our coaches were for.
They would help you with your form and everything else. Yeah, see, I've never had any of that.
Yeah. So yeah, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're not raping you and with cost for that. Is it something that's part of the?
I'll find that out tomorrow. So I'm sure it's going to be pretty high. But at this point, again, I feel like I need it, even if it's only for a few months.
Yeah.
I feel like I still need somebody to kind of help me who knows what the fuck they're doing to kind of help me.
Dude, along the same lines, have you seen the fucking commercials for that mirror that's out there? There's like this mirror that, you know, Pelotons are super popular, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you're working out with these people via monitor. Well, take that, put it on a mirror. That it's straight out of
full.
It's straight out of fucking Total Recall, man.
Holy
shit. You're standing there and you're working out in front of this mirror, and they're like coaching you and shit like that, like as you're working out in front of it. It's fucking.
Fuck.
It's the future is here, people. You're working out in front of a mirror. They're adjusting your fucking form and shit like that, and coaching you. in your own
and
home.
it's like a hologram of the fucking trainer or whatever.
It's embedded in the mirror. Like there's probably an LED that's in the mirror that you're working with. It is. It's fucking insane.
Well, the porn industry is going to capitalize on that. Like that screams porn.
Oh, everything's. I mean, let's face it. The internet runs on the back of pornography.
Indeed. Which, by the way, have you been clued into the whole Pornhub purge?
No.
Oh. Well, if you had any videos like in your favorites from there, they might not be there anymore.
Really?
Like Pornhub purged 90% of the videos on their site.
Really?
Yeah. It is this whole big kerfluffle that happened back in December.
I was not aware.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm out of the loop.
Yeah.
Damn. I got to pay more attention.
Indeed. So, yeah, you go do your own research on that. But we're running out of time here. Last thing that I want to talk about, I mentioned it before, or I alluded to it before, the no politics. I'm unplugging, man. Trying not to choose sides here. I am so sick of the news media in this fucking country. Like, I'm done. I'm not even just talking about one side, even though one side is more prevalent than the other. Both sides, because at the end of the day, I kind of had this moment of clarity, right? Where you're able to take a step back and you're able to look at the bigger picture, and you're like, all these guys are doing, they're just building this rage amongst their base, and they're just they're basically trying to sell something to you, right? They're trying to sell this rage, this getting you angry about this or that or whatever, and I'm fucking done with it.
The media is the foundation of a lot of this unrest, and they don't bear any responsibility for it.
Nope. And they're the sole creators of all of this. And this has been happening for years.
They see, you talk about the things that you can control, and they have a choice. They make their choice. They make their choices based on whatever either whether it's a choice of the aisle that they're going to stand on, or their profit margin, or whatever. There should never be, like,
at the end of the day, they're corporations.
Yeah.
They are businesses that are strictly in it to make money.
They make business decisions.
Yeah. They're not in this to tell the truth. They're not in this to just be open and transparent. They're not in this for any of that shit. They are in this to make fucking money. And they figured out how to make money. And it's to get people to watch their fucking shows and get fucking angry and be like, oh, those motherfuckers on that other side, they're doing this, this, and this. And they're playing off of that.
Yeah,
and they're
absolutely.
They're raking in the fucking cash by creating the chaos that we're seeing today.
I'm 100% with you. I've been unplugged probably since before the election. Like, honestly, I've seen dribs and drabs of it, like, because I'll follow, there's a couple people that I still like will follow in my Instagram thing, because honestly, it's the only thing I look at anymore, is like, because I want to see pictures. I want to see somebody taking a picture of their fucking dog. Like, that's that. I want to go on there. It's like, oh, well, that's nice.
Yeah,
that's nice. I'm going to post a picture of my dog for somebody to go like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
look, the dog's making a face. That's nice. Like, that's what I want out of that. So, but you have to navigate this storm of fucking ridiculousness that is totally out of control.
Yeah,
and unfortunately,
and it's out of our control.
Yeah, exactly. But we have a choice, like you're doing. Don't watch it.
Yeah,
like, I'll just unplug and be like, all right, those things that are happening, it doesn't make you or me or anybody else less because I'm not following this shit in the news. Like, I'm living the life that I can live right now.
Yeah,
and I'm affecting what I can affect. You know, I'm trying to do some good in the world with what I can affect. Like, that's why I'm so fucking busy all the time, right?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to do my best to do what I can within this little circle. And if my circle was bigger, if I was sitting in fucking Congress or someplace like that, then obviously there'd be choices that would have to be made there. But that's not me right now.
Yeah, I mean, the choices that we have to make as just average pleb Americans is to go to the voting booth and make our vote. And then otherwise go and fucking live our lives. And like I said before, when we were talking about MLK, teach your kids or raise your kids as well as you can and teach them to be good people and to go out into the world and be good people. And that's all you can do. That's really all you can fucking do. And it's when you get fucking obsessed with the shit going on in the news and the bullshit that they're constantly feeding you, that's when you decide to go break into the fucking Capitol building, or when you go and riot and loot all summer in the name of social justice. You know, it's
yeah, and the fact that it's without getting into too much detail about that, the reality is that extremism. I've said it on our podcasts, and it's been my thing. Like, spent my entire military career fighting against extremism, right? And then we're seeing it.
Well, and the media has completely embraced it.
Yeah.
At this point.
Oh,
they've embraced the extremism.
They fan the flames. Yeah. I mean, draw your political cartoon. Something that I find really interesting. If you want to, now I'm a photographer, right? I'm an amateur photographer, but I like to look at life through kind of a still, not necessarily a movie. Because when you're capturing that moment, like, sometimes the truth is in that moment.
Sure.
So, Jared Polin, who's the guy who does the I Shoot Raw stuff, right? He's the photographer I follow. He had a really good thing where he was talking about the photographers that were involved in this, and like some of the things they had to go through, like, and I'm not even going to get into that, but some of the pictures that were taken, like these snapshots, and you look at it, like, if you still want to have an idea what's going on in the world, like, follow some of these AP photographers, or guys that are shooting for Routers or AP or something like that. Look at the eyes through this photojournalism, because it's still a thing in this country, and you're getting to see some of, like, this is in the moment. And however you choose to do that, or just watch a fucking cartoon, or sit down, play a video game, watch a cartoon.
Yeah. Or in the words of Bronco Fett, just transform and roll out. You know, if you're starting to get inundated with all of this bullshit, just transform and roll out.
Roll out. I really got to work on that. I work on that.
That prime voice.
That prime voice.
All right. So that is probably the longest my week that I've ever done.
Absolutely.
Between our two podcasts. So I am going to go ahead and cut it off now and turn it over to you, sir.
So what have I done in 2 weeks? Not a lot. It's fucking. We're talking about it before the show. I'm sitting there thinking, man, we haven't done a podcast. We've had this 2 week span. You'd think I have all this stuff. No, I don't. You work. You unfortunately still working from home, and going through all this shit. And so not a whole lot. However, the High Republic book came out.
Yeah.
For our Star Wars listeners that are following along from the All Things Star Wars podcast, I read the High Republic. I enjoyed it, and I recommend it.
Okay.
I think if you're
talking the first book, Light of the Jedi, I want to say is the title of that.
Yes.
First book? Yeah.
Yes, I am. Because
this is the multi-level thing.
It's the
you
first
got comics and everything else.
And I know Bronco Fett has actually read some of the young adult stuff. And what was interesting about the release, like, they had this like release thing just before the book basically hit the shelves, and they were talking about how the young adult stuff is not necessarily written for kids to a point where you can't, if you're an adult but you want to get like a little bit more detail about some of the characters, don't run away from the young adult novel, because you're just gonna read it quicker.
Okay.
Like that's basically what the author was saying. Like there's going to be development of these characters that's going to happen in these young adult novels, that if you're not going to read it because it's young adult, like, you should read it. You're just going to read it faster.
Okay.
And like I said, without going into spoilers or anything else, because I really think you should read it or listen to it, however you want to digest it.
It would definitely be an audiobook if I did.
I think the Escape Pod, or Don Solsky, was listening to it. I know there was a handful of guys that were doing the audiobook. I fucking, when I'm enjoying a read, I'll read it nonstop.
Right.
So when I got the book, I read it until I went from, like, I think it was 5 p.m. until 11 o'clock at night, and I was done with it.
Jesus.
So the pacing was good. I think it was better than the current Thrawn book that's out.
Okay.
That I know a lot of you haven't finished.
Well, that's good, because I couldn't get into it
because of the pacing. I think it's far and away better than the Galaxy's Edge book, the fucking Alphabet Squadron books. I think it's far and away better than that. And it's familiarly unfamiliar. Like, if you're an expanding universe person, and you've read Lost Tribe of the Sith, I think this kind of has the same beat.
Okay.
So I think you should read it. I think Star Wars fans should read this, and if it continues to get better, as the writers, they're super. If you watched any of the Disney stuff for the release, the writers have been super into this. They're all like working together. They're making sure that they stay within the storyboards and all the other shit. So they're doing it the right way.
Good.
And if it continues along these lines, we're going to have
more sacred text.
Yes, we're going to have. You know what? I should have brought it in. I put it on the shelf.
Did you get the hardcover?
I got the hardcover.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so we can add the hardcover to the collection.
Well, shit, maybe I'll just borrow your book.
Yeah, you know what?
Instead of fucking spending $25 on the audiobook, I'll just borrow your fucking book.
Why not? Oh, you probably have credits sitting in your audiobook.
Anyway. No, I actually gave all of those to Kristen. I canceled my Audible and I gave her literally 8 credits. I'm like,
wow,
hon, do you want any of these Audible credits? She's like, oh yeah, I want this book, this book, this book. Okay.
I just, segueing into what else I've been doing. I finally finished Ready Player 2.
Oh, I know you've been talking about that for a while.
Yeah, and honestly, not Ready Player 1 was a really good book.
Mm-hmm.
I never saw the movie, but I enjoyed the book. I enjoyed the nostalgia of it. As we sit here, we're Gen Xers. We have a Gen X podcast. We're getting ready to talk about Transformers and kind of go into this kind of retro thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of our shtick, right? So you think that with Ready Player 2, it's right in the same wheelhouse. However, they spend way too much time on trying to envelop you in nostalgia and not necessarily moving along the story.
But I like nostalgia.
Well, and then you will enjoy this, but you will get tired of it. You will get tired of it, especially when you're listening to the audiobook. Because if I was reading this, it would be like, okay. It read to me like a movie script. And those people that write books that basically are, hey, this is going to be a movie. Let me write the book that's going to translate directly into the movie. They're writing a movie script. So some of the actions of characters are drawn out. When I'm reading a book, let my imagination say how we get from here to here. Don't fucking take every single step of that person and make me have to read those words. Like, I don't need to read those words. I'm an adult. I have a really fucking high reading level.
Yeah.
I don't need you to walk me through this shit.
Great example. Did you ever read Jurassic Park, the Michael Crichton book, before or even after it was a movie?
I read after it was a movie.
Same. So, but again, it was a book before it was a movie.
Right.
The Michael Crichton book. Very different from the movie.
Absolutely.
I mean, there were some similarities, obviously, but very different. When he wrote the sequel, The Lost World, it was a sequel to the movie, not his original book. And it's like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah. I was really super late 90s into the 2000s. I read every fucking Tom Clancy novel that was ever written. Right. If we talk about favorite books of all time, Tom Clancy Without Remorse is one of my all-time favorite books.
Yeah.
But I was super, super into it. And that got started. Like, my dad is, he was in the Navy, right? So Tom Clancy he's a Navy guy, right? And that's the kind of where a lot of these character developments and stuff like that comes from. So I had these books around me when I was growing up. When I saw Hunt for Red October, I hadn't read the book yet. And then reading the book and seeing how different it was, what Clancy didn't do before he passed was he didn't necessarily write movies. They developed movies from those books, and some of those movies were really good. Some of them, not as much. Right? The stuff with Harrison Ford, I think, was good. Hunt for October was good. After that, it starts to kind of drift off. But there was some really good books there. I don't like reading the novelization of this movie. Like, I have even with Star Wars. The Star Wars books, after, because we fell into this trap with the sequel trilogy, right? The reading those books because
we were hoping
to get more information, right? It's like, oh, we're doing a fucking podcast. We want more information for Star Wars. Hopefully we get it from the book and we get like some fucking random character that it really wasn't worth it. There was no payoff. That being said, Ready Player 2, Will Wheaton does a great job reading it. I struggled to get through it. But hey, I'm sure there's going to be a movie.
Oh, of course.
Like 100% I believe there's going to be a movie. And it had some interesting stuff. I know Don Salsky, who's in the chat, some of the audiobooks that we've read, I think Ready Player 2 kind of plays into some of the character development that we've read in other Audible books.
Right.
With the Bobaverse and shit like that.
And I did mention I did notice in our group chat with the Escape Pod guys that you said that there's like a whole Prince section.
There is, and it's way too fucking long. But it'll probably be great in the movie.
And I mean, as somebody who fucking loves Prince,
oh yeah,
like I don't know how you could ever overdo that.
Yeah, so. You'd be surprised. So anyway, read High Republic, read Ready Player 2 at your own risk. I'd wait for the movie. We have a fantasy hockey league.
We do
in the Sidebar Cantina,
which I'm apparently in,
which Jason is in, and a lot of our guys are in. Guess what? None of us know what the fuck we're doing. Right. Even Tony Ferrari, our Canadian contingent, like who does a hockey podcast, he's like, "Well, I've never used Yahoo." None of us understand it yet.
Yeah. All I know is apparently I'm beating Shotgun Mark right now.
So there you go. And you know what? I look at it every day. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm looking at it every day. And I think as the more I look at it and see some of the nuances, then I'll get it figured out. But that's going to be the thing. Like you have to at least look at it to the point where it's like, all right, can I make a move here? I think the key to fantasy hockey is going to be making a lot of moves.
Right. And apparently there's a game going on right now. Shotgun Mark has a guy playing as we speak.
There you go. Yeah, it is not the most intuitive thing. So more to follow on that. But hey, look, it's the hockey season's just started. The Flyers beat the fucking Penguins twice, which makes my heart happy. Fuck the Penguins. Fuck Sidney Crosby.
I have never in my life watched a hockey game from start to finish. Ever.
That's not surprising.
Yeah.
I mean, who would you have been emotionally invested in out in fucking California? The Kings in LA?
I mean, I knew who they were.
You know who Wayne Gretzky is, right? So like that's probably there's a lot of people that's their only hockey knowledge. I mean, to be honest. I mean, if I wasn't growing up in Philly with the Flyers, I probably wouldn't care either. But and no, there's no sane Philadelphia fan. I mean, like Keith Lehman's, I think, a Devils fan or some bullshit. Like, what the fuck is that?
New Jersey Devils?
Yeah, what the fuck?
We live in New Jersey, so that's not very far-fetched.
I said it when we did the live draft. Fucking, I will give the Devils their due because they're a team that plays in New Jersey. They call themselves New Jersey. I will give them that credit. But that's it. I mean, they're above the Mason-Dixon line for me. Like, that's North Jersey. Might as well be fucking New York. A whole different fan base and everything else.
I don't be the Jets and the Giants and everything else.
Yeah, exactly. And I, as a Flyers fan, growing up, there was always Devils fans around, and there was always like this little thing. But
it's it's so funny because it's got to be like a cultural and geographical thing. Because for me, I'd seen snow one time before I joined the Air Force when I was 19. So, hockey was not really a thing where I grew up.
Yeah. But anyway. I actually played a little street hockey and anyway. So more to follow on the fantasy hockey. I think on the post show today, we'll talk a little bit more fantasy hockey with because most of the people in the chat are also in that league. The Eagles fired their head coach, and moving on, I think I'm becoming a PC gamer.
What?
I think I'm becoming a PC gamer.
Yes. So join the dark side.
Yeah, it says the guy who fired up the Xbox has an Xbox fucking sex Xbox.
And have Xbox sex, get it right.
Xbox sex, sorry.
And again, haven't even taken it out of the box. Right. Where I fucking turn on my PC every day.
Right. So herein lies the problem. I've said it before, like the problem with working from home is that I'm always in front of the fucking computer. But so here's the problem. Zombies this week, Call of Duty Black Ops Zombies is free to play this week
on Steam,
across platforms. I don't know. However you get the Black Ops, you can play the zombie mode for free up until I think the 21st.
Okay.
Right. And because they're getting ready to do a big map release and everything in February, Zombies has its own fucking sect. It's like there's a lot of people that don't give a fuck about the Call of Duty or Black Ops and everything else. They're only in it for the zombies,
right? Which I can definitely see the appeal.
Yeah, I that's me. I mean, I'll play Modern Warfare. I never really got into Black Ops, but I'll play the shit out of Modern Warfare, and play the shit out of some zombies.
Yeah,
like I was saying before, I bought over through Steam because it was it was $20. It was still expensive, considering it's fucking 15 years old, but still very playable, especially on my 36-inch curved screen. It's pretty fun. So
I'm so jealous.
This is how I think I'm starting to kind of just break over the fucking the perigee of this, or apogee rather. I bought a gaming mouse. Like one with it has the the number 4 button over here, and like shit like that. Because goddamn, it's annoying. Like to get my hand on the keyboard to do the appropriate keystroke to throw shit and stuff like that. I'm like, oh man, if I just had that button. So I got a fucking gaming mouse.
Well, now I need to introduce you to the gaming pad. Hold on, I actually might have one right here.
Oh my god. Listen. This is a sleeping demon. That's what I like.
Journey towards the dark side is almost complete.
I really like playing a console game because it separates me from the computer, which is important sometimes. But dude, the graphics on Zombies is so much better on my through my PC than it is on the Xbox One. Now Xbox 6 might be even better, but I also don't have a 4K TV. So it's only as good as the 1080 is going to be.
Which, I mean, let's be honest, the 4K TVs are getting super fucking cheap right now.
Yeah, at some point I'll cross that threshold.
Yo, I was looking at 86-inch TVs.
Where the fuck are you going to put that?
I'll figure it out.
Well, see, that's the problem. I have that 60-inch, and it's in like I sit as close as picture 60 inches, and I'm sitting as far as that couch is from it. So I'm like in the football games when I'm watching it.
Yeah.
But I like that. It's probably terrible for my eyesight. So anyway, since we've been going on an hour, we haven't even gotten to our topic yet. Yeah, I bought a PC. I bought a gaming mouse.
Nice.
So, and it lights up and does goofy shit, and the keyboard's next. I mean, that's what's next. I have this like standard Dell keyboard that it's going to turn into fucking a gaming keyboard because on the off chance that I want to go through it, like the Tomb Raider game was super cheap on Steam and looked great on my fucking screen. And I love having Lara Croft fucking make her jump over shit and fucking do all that stuff. So I beat that, and I'm like, man, this would have been a lot easier if I had the fucking gaming mouse. And there's enough stuff out there.
Oh, you got the wheels turning, man. I can't wait to just keep
and this is the thing.
You we need closer and closer to the PC gaming.
We need to do an Old Republic sync so I can figure out. I still have my character and everything else. I don't pay the subscription anymore,
which I actually do right now, even though I barely touched it over the last month or so. I still have a Old Republic subscription. So yes, Ben, you can have cake. Ben's asking me in the chat if he can have cake. As long as you ate dinner. If you ate your dinner, then yes, you can eat some cake.
The chat says eat your cake.
Yeah.
How is Bronco Fett on the Facebook typing a different message than anyway?
I don't know. We got multiple streams of chat going between Facebook and YouTube and everything else.
So you're missing out if you're listening to the audio podcast. You can be watching us live and involving yourself in the chat.
Yeah, and if you're here for Transformers, we're almost there.
We're about to get there.
Yeah,
we're about to. Jason has finished his aquarium of wine. I'm sure he's gonna have to take a leak.
Yes, I will have to piss before we.
So yeah, that's the end of my week. Gaming mouse. Oh, which real quick before we get too, I'm just gonna. We are so fucking spoiled with Amazon. Oh, right. Yeah. I fucking want it. I'm like looking at the thing. I was like, I have this thought in my head. I want to get a gaming mouse. It might as well have ordered itself, like subconsciously. So I go through and I find it a relatively inexpensive, gaming mouse, but just good enough. It's wired.
Sure.
Because I don't want any latency.
Yeah. I don't like wireless.
Yeah. It's
mice or keyboards.
So, I bought it. and it came the next day. I'm like, oh, look, I can get this the next day. And you look forward to it, right?
Mhm.
It's like a little Christmas every day when you're getting something from Amazon.
Yep.
So I'm sitting there and I'm on the computer. I think I'm playing zombies, and boom, boom, like my fucking Alexa goes off, like, hey, this thing just got delivered, right? And as I'm going up the stairs, like the fucking Amazon truck's pulling away.
Yeah.
I open the door. There is a flat fucking envelope on the step. I'm like, what the fuck is that? So I pick it up, and Alexa said that it was my fucking
Your
mouse that got delivered.
Uh-huh.
And the package is flat. I'm like holding it up to the light. There's nothing in it, and the top's open. Right? It's not ripped open. The top is just open, like it was never sealed.
Huh.
So the motherfucker delivered an empty package, took a picture of it, and look, it's not the Amazon delivery guy's fault, because I could have ordered a memory card that would put in the same envelope.
Sure.
That takes up no space. So
Yeah.
he doesn't know what the fuck's in there. So he doesn't know that, hey, this might be missing.
Mhm.
So, and again, being spoiled with Amazon, I fucking immediately got on my phone and said, hey, the fucking thing was the package was empty.
Yeah.
Like, all right, we'll send you a new one. I got it the next day.
Nice.
So I had to wait a whole fucking day, which played of violins,
Yeah.
first world problems. But I was like so frustrated. You know what? I had nothing to do with the Amazon guy or anything else. It was the fact that it was Christmas.
I want it now.
It was Christmas, and I'm looking forward to getting this, because hey, I'd like to get this, and I can replace that. I had the whole thing where I was gonna route it through here, because it plugs in. My monitor's got the KVM in it, so it runs between the Mac and everything else, and blah blah blah. I had the whole fucking thing set up, and it shows up and it's an empty fucking package. I'm like, this is the worst day ever, but it's really not,
because you fixed it in a matter of minutes.
The next day, it still showed the fuck up. So anyway,
it's good stuff.
Jason has to pee.
Yeah. So are you done with your week then?
I'm done with my week.
All right.
Still didn't have a candle to your week. Just saying.
Indeed. So that being said, we will be right back with some Transformers after this very quick word from our sponsors.
Podbuilder.com. Go to podbuilder.com. It is the best place for podcasts. That's horrible. Yeah, Bronco Fett. We can see, like, in StreamYard, we see like who's posting where. So we can see that you're posting in Facebook and YouTube. That's what throws me off, because usually we're used to seeing the stuff in YouTube. And I want you to, and when we get to a point where we're talking about some of these Transformers that you and Rick were going back and forth on, we need to rehash that discussion because I'm gonna say it again when we go back on the air quote, but Frederick H. Martin III is the guy. He's the guy for this. I don't know anyone else in this world that I would go to with a Transformers thing besides my cousin Ricky. Like, what he says to me is gospel.
Right.
So the thoughts of my cousin Frederick Martin are, well, I will stand by whatever it is that he's saying, because he has this, like, he's a toy guy, right? He knows toys, he knows cartoons, he has the ability. I don't know. I was going to say expendable income. I don't know if that's the right terminology, but like well,
that's going to be a factor when we talk about our histories.
It is, and currently, like, he's the guy. He is the guy. So it's why just pour the rest in there? Why?
I don't want to drink a whole bottle. I mean,
what? So you left a swallow in that bottle? Okay, whatever. I'm gonna go try and pee.
All right, it's gonna try to pee.
Volcanus.
You said anus.
Have you seen Gentlemen Broncos?
That sounds familiar, but
put a pin in that.
All right. Thanks for the second mic check, by the way, Lunar Girl. I didn't get a chance to respond before. Sorry, I just got to respond to a text. All right. So I think there was something else in my week that I could talk about that I didn't really get to on the show. Yeah. Oh, so we're redesigning the studio again. That was one thing I didn't bring up during my week. So if you look on Dave's screen, see how the pops go and then they end and then it's just a bunch of like fucking trash. You could see the Star Wars sign is like fell off and it's like half cocked. So we're going to extend the sacred pops to go all the way out to past that where that Star Wars poster is. So yeah, we're going to do a big redesign. Apparently we got some Biden money coming soon. So yeah, allegedly we're getting more money for stimulus, whatever. Just, I don't give a shit. Just give me the money. So some of that I'm going to invest in some furniture and some better shelving units. It's going to go, you can't even see it on the screen, but it's going to go on the far side of the studio, which is where all my video game shit's going to be. To get it nice and organized. I've been really trying to get back into like console video games again.
Yeah, we should. I'll talk to Kathy, see if maybe we can spring some money out of that to go into a new how you doing? A new board.
Yeah, new mixer.
Yeah,
that would be a good idea.
So, well,
and since the escape pods steal stuff from us, maybe we could steal some stuff from them and have like the soundboard with the sound effects and everything.
Hey, imitation's the sincerest form of flattery.
Yeah. All right. Well, we ready to get back into it?
I think I'm going to put Gentlemen Broncos into the chat just so I have a. Wow. Excuse me. Smell
right
Broncos. I don't sneeze that often, and because when I do, my arms go numb. Like, dude.
Okay.
If I'm lying, I'm dying. Like when I sneeze, like my fucking it goes numb and then pins and needles for like a good 10 seconds. Both arms.
That's not good.
It's the thing in my neck. It's one of those things where it's like it's probably scarier to fix than it is to just deal with.
Okay.
It's
one of those things you just rub some dirt on it and just call it good.
Sprinkle some crack on it. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we ready to resume?
Yes. Do we want another countdown?
Of course. We always do another countdown, Dave.
We need more countdowns. We need to work on that.
We'll be back at 120.
Ready? Set.
Hold on. Let me finish writing. Do it. And we're back. So, Transformers, more than meets the eye.
More than meets the eye. Yeah, that sounds horrible.
Again, to reiterate, we're going to stick to the very short time frame of when Transformers first launched in '84 up to and not including Transformers the movie, because as we said before the show, that's an episode in and of itself, the Transformers movie, and then so much happened after that.
And the sequel, the subsequent movies after that, after 1986, I think that movie we definitely have to talk about it separately, because I think that is a pivotal point in our lives where we learn about loss.
Oh yeah, and it was pivotal in the Transformers franchise.
Yeah,
and their success before the big resurgence and everything else.
Right.
So we're going to strictly stick to basically the 2 years in our childhoods where this was fucking huge. That was from 1984 to 1986. What are you looking at?
I'm looking for the Bronco Fett painting. What we did with it.
The Bronco Fett painting. Why?
Remember? It's up there. It's waiting for wall space. Okay. Anyway,
the one we had displayed before.
Yes.
Okay.
He's,
we still have it. Don't worry. We didn't throw it away.
Yeah. Believe me, throwing away.
Yeah, we don't do that.
Not something we do.
So, leading up to the launch of Transformers, this was a massive, like, multimedia, multi-layered release because Hasbro, who were the ones that launched this whole thing, they already had some success and they had already seen some precursors to this with the success of He-Man that we talked about several episodes back. Obviously, Star Wars and the toy line with all that, and G.I. Joe, which the Escape Pod guys are going to go ahead and steal that topic and talk about it on Wednesday and talk about the success that they had with the relaunch of the 3.5-inch figures. Right. That was huge. And that was huge for us too, which, you know, we can get into that in another episode. But hot on the heels of all that stuff, they knew that the next big toy line, whatever it was going to be, the next pillar, as they said in the Toys That Made Us, has got to be something that, you know, we have to build a whole universe around, right? So
agreed.
They decided to, well, and we'll get into the history of where they found these toys and how they brought them over to the US, but they released it as both a comic book, a TV series, the cartoon, and a toy line, all launched pretty much at once, to the delight of kids our age, quite frankly, because this was 84. So He-Man came out in 82, right? Star Wars started in 77. So Star Wars had been going for 5 years when He-Man came out in 82. He-Man had been going for 2 years when Transformers came out. And quite frankly, for kids who are our age, like, we were the perfect age for all of this shit.
Yeah.
I think Transformers was that next big thing. Despite all the little things that may have come in between, the other companies trying to get our attention, it wasn't until Transformers came out that we started to step away from the He-Man and some other stuff that were like, ooh, this is what I care about now.
Right. It wasn't about, there was a complexity to these toys that was just fascinating. And the idea, you take your imagination, and here's something. Here's Optimus Prime, right? This tractor trailer. You cannot. Nobody from our generation can look at a tractor trailer with a flat front and not think Optimus Prime.
Oh no, not at all.
Like, to the point where I remember sitting in Terminator 2, and when fucking what's his nuts is driving a fucking semi, it's a flat front semi, and the entire time I'm thinking Optimus Prime. It's fucking Optimus Prime. The chest Optimus Prime. And fucking open up. Yeah, dude, there was a complexity and an ability to kind of project into a reality these things, because you could go look at a car and your brain, you know, your imagination, you make that thing transform because you watch it happen and you could do it.
Yeah.
So it was fucking.
Now, the interesting thing is, and we can talk about this in subsequent episodes, but you know, Transformers was obviously a very important part of our upbringing, but with subsequent releases and subsequent generations of Transformers, it's actually resonated with later generations from us too, between the Beast Wars, which I didn't realize until I started doing research. Beast Wars is actually very beloved amongst the kids that came after us, like that very next generation of kids after us, kids that are probably like my brother's age, you know, or maybe like a couple of years younger. And then of course we had the Michael Bay movie, which I want to just briefly touch on. That could be another episode in and of itself also. And that re-release in 2007 and everything.
Do an episode on Megan Fox and just leave it at that.
And ultimately that's the one good thing that came out of Transformers 2007 was Megan Fox pre-fucking with her face. Like pre-Botox Megan Fox was.
Yeah.
So
swing.
Yeah. And that's all I got to say about that. So I want to start off talking about our memories of this time. Basically, some personal anecdotes, stories about like the toys, or really just our general experience with Transformers for Dave and Jason growing up.
Right.
Now I'll go ahead and get started, as I always do.
As you always do.
I mentioned that this was at the end of the Star Wars and the He-Man phase. My mother was very generous when it came to toys during that era. Star Wars especially, and pretty much with He-Man too, right? We were not wealthy people growing up. In fact, we were pretty fucking poor. But my mom always made sure to get me these toys that I was really interested in. So even outside of Christmas and birthdays, she made a point to try to make sure that I had a lot of these toys that I really cared this much about.
Right.
Again, starting with Star Wars, I had so much Star Wars stuff. And then when He-Man became big in 82, I was fucking all in on that. And she made sure that she got me a lot of fucking He-Man stuff.
That's awesome.
Like more than any kid in our social status should have had.
Right.
Right. So by the time Transformers came around 2 years later, I kind of got the feeling, this is me now looking back on it. I kind of get the feeling that she was like, okay, enough of this fucking shit. As I was like starting to get excited about this new Transformers thing that was coming up. I had started to, forget about my He-Man stuff, forget about my Star Wars stuff. And it's like, oh, I want to get these Transformers.
Because all the shit happened like sequentially, like 82, 84, 86.
Right.
Like
in the mind of an adult, this was probably all happening like that.
Right.
As kids, like
eons.
Yeah.
Eons.
Yeah.
We had grown, we had doubled our age basically, and we're like, well, that was fucking He-Man. That's for children.
Right. And who the fuck knows how exactly this went? Because I'll be the first to admit my memory isn't the greatest. I do remember some very vivid things from that time,
Sure.
But my time with He-Man could have really been 6 months and not like 3 to 4 years like I'm thinking it probably was.
Oh, sure.
So who the fuck knows?
Right.
But ultimately, looking back on it now as an adult of kids who have gone through all of these phases and everything, my mom was probably, by the time Transformers came around, like, all right, I ain't doing this shit anymore.
Let's slow your roll.
So it's like, you want to get all these fucking Transformers, you can get them with your own fucking birthday money or whatever, but I'm not going above and beyond and getting this shit for you.
Well, plus, like, I think we'll touch on it probably a little bit, but there was layers of the Transformers cost.
Yeah.
Where the fucking the ones that were the tits, like the die-cast ones and like the really intricate Transformers, like those first ones, they were expensive.
They were
straight up expensive.
I remember watching that Toys That Made Us, seeing some of these, like the Optimus Prime and some of the bigger Transformers from that first series.
Yeah.
And upwards of like $35-$40.
Yeah. The Lamborghini, like even right now, like the secondary market for buying Transformers, like Gen 1 Transformers, is pretty big. Like you go on eBay, you can find a lot that are out there. And you know what? Honestly, I looked and some of them were a lot more reasonable than I expected.
Well,
kind of knows what you're getting. Like if you want just a used toy, like we talked about this before, how I remember this toy fondly. Now I want it. So this is it really creeping in with some fucking Transformer shit too, which I really got to be like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't spend the money.
Yeah. So, and also before Transformers came out, if you watch the Toys That Made Us, you'll see the GoBots actually hit the market 6 months before Transformers.
Yeah.
Did. And I only knew about GoBots at first. Like I had no idea this Transformers thing was coming, but the GoBots came out. I vaguely remember the show. And I remember actually a girl that I went to school with in elementary school. I know she liked me. And I told her, well, I'll be your boyfriend if you give me a toy or something. And her brother had a GoBot.
Nice.
And she took her fucking brother's GoBot and she gave it to me, so I would be her boyfriend. So
which GoBot was it?
One of the ones that's like very basic. It turns into a car, which ultimately it's just his legs flip up and you lay it flat, and he's a car now.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was very, very basic, but yeah, no, I told this girl I'd be her boyfriend if she gave me a GoBot toy, essentially. So
GoBots, I remember this. It was the same thing. I don't remember. I don't think we talked about what month GoBots came out, but it was
basically 6 months. They beat Transformers to the market by 6 months.
So whenever that came out, I remember having a GoBot. It was a submarine. Right. Again, real basic. Like you can picture the hull of submarine opening up, and now that's his arms with like big fucking things. His head was in the middle, and the legs barely separated. But it was a toy that, like, once you transformed it like 3-4 times, it never held its shape again. And when it would be like totally. And the show was just absolutely like, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like when you were a kid looking at Transformers. And even like the animation, like let's face it, it's 1984 animation, but looking at GoBots with like the way the eyes and all the other shit were drawn, it's just like, the fuck is this?
Yeah, and GoBots was a combination of Tonka and Bandai. Bandai, the Japanese company, Tonka, the American company, known for Tonka trucks and all that.
Love me some Tonka trucks.
Yeah, but
I still have 2 of my Tonka trucks.
Nice, but yeah, they made GoBots. They beat them to the market, and I remember I had a GoBot long before I ever heard of Transformers at all. So to the point when Transformers was first announced, when they're like, next week the Transformers cartoon, these guys that turn into vehicles, I'm like, that's fucking GoBots. Like, it's already a thing. Like, what the fuck? Which obviously Transformers, they won out with their better story, their better backstory, their better characters.
Right. Well, that's the thing. There was story development.
Yeah.
We watch in the show, that Toys That Made Us show, where it talks about, like, here's this guy, there's 26 of these fucking Transformers. We need a name and a backstory for all of them, like, on Friday.
Yeah. Now go.
Yeah. Now do it. And but the ironic thing was that you watch the first show, the first episode. Like, I rewatched it today, right? The first episode of Transformers, and you can tell that this is the storyline. Like, this is the narrator basically telling you, like, here's the backstory for all this.
Right.
Anything that happens after this, we're figuring out on the go. But here's the fucking background.
Yeah, and we'll get into that. We'll get into the details of the story later. But so I talk about how my mom was pretty much done with, like, all the fucking different toy lines and everything. So all of the Transformers that I owned personally were all kind of hand-me-downs. Shit either that I would get from fucking yard sales, other friends would trade to me for other stuff. I did end up with a pretty good collection of Transformers. I had the original Megatron, the fucking one that would turn into the fucking gun, where his dick was the trigger, which was fucking great. I had an Optimus Prime, whose arms broke off. I had an Ultra Magnus. I had a couple others, but I didn't have many Transformers toys, even though I loved the TV show, watched the TV show pretty religiously up to and including the Transformers movie. As far as owning the toys, I had very few, honestly, because, again, I had enough of the other stuff.
Right.
And
yeah, there's a huge investment in He-Man sitting in a bin over there.
Yeah. Yeah. How about that Castle Grayskull and the fucking Skeletor Castle and all of these fucking other figures? And
they're just going to be over there.
Yeah.
Like, getting yellow for some reason.
So now, I don't know if you remember, but around this time, it was actually a little bit afterwards, as Transformers became really, really fucking popular, and it was the new thing, the new big thing, people were making knockoff stuff to the point where Kellogg's cereal, remember back during our days?
Oh, yeah.
Kellogg's cereal, they always had, like, the fucking toys inside the cereal box, right? That was the big thing. That was the reason why you got fucking Honey Smacks or whatever else, right? Because... Okay. Sorry, just something in the chat distracted us for a second. There was a phase after Transformers had gotten big where Kellogg's started putting these toys in their cereals called Starbots. And they were basically like these spaceships that were Transformers.
Right.
They weren't called Transformers, but it was a spaceship that would turn into a fucking robot. Very, very basic, though. It was like 4 pieces of plastic all snapped together in...
Do you remember, after you said that, it just popped in my head and I don't want to lose it.
Sure.
The fucking Happy Meal Transformers. Do you remember? Because I distinctly remember the fucking hamburger. I had them. There was a fucking hamburger Transformer. Yes, there was the fucking Happy Meal Transformers.
I haven't thought about that in 30-something years.
It just popped into my fucking dome. Like, holy shit.
You said the hamburger, and I totally remember that.
Yeah, it was...
Oh my God, I got to Google this. Jamie, pull that up.
Super, super simple, as Transformers go. Super simple. However, I just have this memory of this fucking hamburger. And it was one of the ones that it made it into the fucking collection. It was the rest of my fucking Transformers. Yeah, fucking McDougal's with their ingenious marketing. Yes! Yeah, there they are.
Holy
that one.
Shit.
That one, the Big Mac one.
Wow.
I distinctly remember that one. I think I had the fucking...
Fuck.
I think I wanted the Fry one, but it was like
it was hard to get them back.
It was because they released it in like certain weeks that it come out, and I had no idea when. There was no internet.
That was from 87 to 90.
That's fucking crazy.
When these came out, dude. We could buy this whole collection now for like $30.
Oh, we should totally do that.
Oh my god, I'm tempted.
Hit the watch button. Hit the watch list.
Add to watch list.
That's what I do. I see something like that. It's like, all right, I'm going to put it on the watch list. If it's still there, that when the next time I look,
it doesn't match. That's my fucking account, asswipe.
Tired of passwords? You have no idea.
Can we add it to the watch list? Thank you.
Yes, there you go.
Yo,
isn't that crazy?
Holy shit.
This lends directly to what you're talking about with how the marketing genius of, hey, let's put some transforming air quote fucking thing into
put it in the chat.
There you go. Into there, yeah, the fucking
because once Transformers became big, everything can be a Transformer, right? Even Transformers embrace that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, from the very beginning too, because we'll get into the details as we get into it. But let me just get through the rest of my thing. So yeah, I did have a lot of those knockoffs, like the Starbots and everything, because again, those came in fucking boxes of cereal, so those were great. My friend Rob, who I've talked about before, my best friend growing up, his parents didn't give a shit. He was an only child, so they spoiled the shit out of him.
Fucking only children, man.
Yeah, he had all the Transformers. He had all the Dinobots. He had all the Constructicons to make Devastator. He had fucking everything. And basically it meant that I had them all too.
Yes.
Because I spent half of my days at his fucking house, playing with him. So
well, and honestly, the same thing can be said for my cousin Rick, because he had an extensive collection, not quite like having every one of them, because even some of those were just they were just expensive. Like it was a Christmas fucking birthday type thing. But yeah, most of my toy playing for Transformers was vicariously through my cousin. Especially, I really remember we had a good time with the Dinobots.
Yeah,
the Dinobots were the fucking shit.
And we'll get into the specifics about them as we get into the actual Transformers themselves. So, what about you? Any particular memories or anything?
So
growing up,
let me tell this story because it kind of goes along the lines of the knockoffs. So we're talking about 1984. What grade are we in? We're like
in 84. I'd have been 7 years old, almost about to turn 8.
So what grade is that? How does that Jamie fucking figure out how old I was in 1980 or what grade I was in 1984?
We really need a producer.
I know this is getting out of hand. It just takes too long. So anyway, whatever grade I was in, there was these two brothers. They were Indian, right? My first experience with like Continental Indian.
Okay, because back in those days, Indian meant a different thing,
right? We're talking about just like from India Indians, and they owned the Black Horse Motel, which was on the Black Horse Pike. And go back to the mid 80s when the Black Horse Pike still had a lot of traffic of people that were like going back and forth to the shore, people that like stayed in Philadelphia, like having a motel in an area was still, profitable. The place has since been torn down. There's nothing in its place, but
great.
So anyway,
good use of land.
Yeah. So the one brother, he could make a transformer out of cigarette cartons. And when I tell you that he could make a transformer, these were intricately transformed transformers.
So he was like one of those engineering fucking Doogie Howser
100%. The dude was fucking insanely intelligent and just had that brain where he could take something and just build it out of anything.
Nice.
And if you brought him like the cigarette cartons, and I think there was some trade involved. I don't remember what it was, and I'm really struggling. If you had asked me a couple of years ago, I could have regurgitated this dude's name, but I can't remember now. But anyway, the transformers that he would make out of these cigarette cartons, it's like cigarette cartons and tape, and like they would actually transform. These things were so fucking amazing.
Damn.
Like I traded I'm almost positive I traded a legitimate transformer for one of these things.
Wow.
Because it was so fucking, it was just, that's one of those things where that individual, like that dude's building fucking like amazing things wherever he ended up, you know, in this world.
Yeah, yeah.
Like to take that brain and apply it to, you know, some engineering feat, because the kids around him were like, wow, these are fucking, they were awesome. And they were durable too. Like if you can imagine, like, you know, cigarette cartons not
back in the day, they were
Yeah.
pretty durable from what I remember.
Yeah, and my mom smoked, so we had the cartons available. So for me,
Mhm.
it was easy to bring that,
Mhm.
and they were fairly rigid. And yeah, he would make all the hinge pieces and everything else. It was fucking spectacular, and that was kind of the I don't know, the amazement of the actual transforming of the Transformers for me was probably the biggest part of that.
Mhm.
Like I wanted to. For me, it was the ability to like take one of these things and fucking be able to transform it without really having to think about it. Like I wanted to be able to look at that, like just like the guy from what was it called, Tanaka, the original company that was
Oh, the original company was, I have it written down,
brain fucking hemorrhage.
Takara.
Okay,
Yeah.
but that guy, that engineer, right? I wanted to be like that guy. I wanted to be able to look at something and be like, okay, this is how it's going to transform, and fucking be able to do it. That's that was always the big thing for me. Was the actual act of transforming it more so than playing with them as like action figures.
Sure, yeah.
Because they're as rugged as they were, especially the original ones, they were pretty rugged, but they're still like, you weren't going to fucking toss these around, like not if you wanted them to last any kind of long. I know for our household, we had like the Transformers that I got were the smaller ones. So you had the
like
diecast
the Bumblebee type ones.
Bumblebee. I had I put it in the notes. Warpath is one that, like, you know I had that Warpath Transformer kicked around in my fucking shit forever.
Hold on, let me find him here on this website. Warpath.
Yeah,
that guy, the tank.
Nice. Warpath, Power Glide, Sea Spray, like these little ones are the ones that I would get because they were reasonably priced.
Right, yeah.
And they were fun. I also had a cassette. I had one of the cassettes. I think I had Laserbeak.
Right. Well, yeah, because he was the original, right? That came with Soundwave, which, by the way, we haven't even gotten into that.
Yeah.
Like Soundwave and Laserbeak and all those.
But that was like for the TV show was obviously Coming Home from School, the TV show, and that's our biggest exposure to it. And then having the smaller toys, and then I think Dinobots was probably the first time going into the bigger toys where it was like, okay, these were always around.
Right. Yeah. And the Dinobots was like the next big thing. Like leading up to, but before the Transformers movie, we had all of the original Transformers. It was cool. Yeah. The next thing was the fucking Dinobots.
Right.
Which I don't know if it was the same for you. And you have to remember, kids, anybody who's not Gen X, this was all before Jurassic Park, all before any of that bullshit. The only pop culture that we knew that referenced dinosaurs was like Land of the Lost. Do you remember that show?
I do.
From the Land of the Lost. It's
good.
Yeah, thank you. But I was huge into dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Like in elementary school. I was obsessed with them. Like I had a shitload of dinosaur books and everything else. And this was like second grade, third grade, right before the fucking Dinobots came out. Then the Dinobots came out. Like in addition to this already fucking phenomenal franchise, now they're going to introduce these dinosaur versions of these Transformers, and it's like,
yeah. And they fucking they actually transformed into like, they looked like dinosaurs too. It wasn't like
they were good.
That was the biggest thing. Like those first fucking Transformers, the Japanese made ones that we're talking about here with this generation, they were fucking phenomenal. Like when you put the what was the Lamborghini one? The red Lamborghini.
Oh fuck.
When you put that Lamborghini together, like it rolled. It rolled like it was a fucking Matchbox car.
Well, yeah, because when they were transformed, the robot forms were a little suspected for some characters, but the fucking vehicle forms or whatever, they looked fantastic.
This
one, Overdrive.
Yeah, somebody had that. Somebody in the neighborhood, I think, had that. One of the kids in the neighborhood had that. but those cars, like that one, the fucking the ambulance one, those guys, when you transform those bigger diecast ones and they fucking like rolled in legit and shit, that was fucking, that's the kind of shit that, like, if I'm going to, as an adult, I want to buy one of those older ones just for that.
Right.
Rick gave me a few years back, he had got me a Transformer as a fucking space shuttle one. Which I was going to bring for the show, but it's put up right now.
Yeah,
because it's part of my I only have so much stuff I'm allowed to display.
Yeah,
so
we know about the edict.
Yeah, so it's put safely away. But yeah, I was they were legit fucking like, because I was, you talking about like being in a dinosaur show like that. Like, I had a huge Matchbox car collection, like the actual Matchboxes that were in boxes. Like, I collected those. So I wanted, if I had a fucking toy car, I wanted it to fucking roll like a car.
Yeah.
And those things actually rolled. And they were so fucking legit. They were so legit.
Okay. So we talked about Soundwave.
Right.
And Razorbeak. And what was the dog that was also like
fuck if I remember.
Anyway, for years, I was under the impression that Soundwave Transformer actually played cassette tapes. Do you remember if that was true or not?
It did not.
Okay.
But the eject button worked.
Well, yeah, because you had to eject fucking Razorbeak out of his chest.
I don't know if Rick had it. Somebody had it. Somebody had the fucking Transformer. And I think I got the cassette because I traded for it.
Okay.
And, you know, my cousin had brought it up before, or somebody in the chat had brought it up before, you would trade Transformers, like you would, like there were commodities,
right?
That you could, you trade up and down with.
Well, and that's how I got some of the toys that I had. I had to trade for them.
Yeah. So I remember it was a very, very simple Transformer, right? Because the way the legs came out, like I distinctly remember, because it had the bar that went across the top, and you disconnected, the bar, and it went whoop, and the legs just folded down, the arms popped out, the fucking head popped up.
Yep.
And then the chest piece, boop, and it was my grandfather, who was a lawyer, audio recorded like everything. Like, he had tape recorders coming out the fucking wazoo, and they were all over the place because they do deposition shit like that. But he had those micro cassettes. They were all over the place, and they were exactly this right. They were the right fucking size.
Where you could actually fit one in there.
Yeah, it was perfectly scaled for it. It was really just such a well thought out fucking toy.
Yeah. And really, like, all of the toys, if you think about it, like I said, when they're in their vehicle or whatever forms, they looked fucking good. The Megatron that I had, when he was in his fucking gun form, it was like a legit toy gun. If you look at what it looks like now, no wonder kids fucking got shot when they pointed at a fucking cop, because it looked like a real fucking gun.
It looked like they bring it up in the toys that made us. It looked like a Walther P-38, and it did. Legit, it was like this chrome fucking gun. And, it's talking about that, we're referencing it a lot because I know both of us watched it today. At least I watched it today. The ads for the Japanese kids, like before Megatron was Megatron, it was still just a Japanese toy. Gunbot or whatever the fuck they were calling it.
Right.
Seeing this Japanese like kid hold this fucking Walther P-38 menacingly, it's like, man, how did we ever think that was a good fucking idea?
Yeah.
It blows my mind.
And I remember, do you remember the moment when all of a sudden every toy gun had the orange tip?
Yeah.
Like, I remember that because toy guns was huge for me.
Oh yeah. God, yeah.
Back in the day. And then all of a sudden, like, every toy gun in the fucking store had that orange tip. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Dude, when we were kids, we would shoot each other with BB guns, like legit fucking BB guns out in the woods. So it was like when was that? Jamie, bring that up. When did
that was probably mid to late 80s, probably like 86, 87.
Yeah, you could go to Rite Aid, right? You could go to the drugstore and they would have like a police set that you'd be able to go in there, and they still do it today. Like, that's one of those timeless kids' toys, right? You want a kid to shut up for fucking, an hour or so.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, here, let's go to the drugstore. You can pick out a toy. And they had the cop set in there, or a cowboy set that would have a pistol in there. And yeah, I remember distinctly, like, it went from being like a cap gun with fucking caps to suddenly like, oh no, now it's got this orange tip. Now that the trigger wouldn't work. I remember being such a fucking snob with that shit too. Because as a kid, like if the toy, like if the trigger didn't pull right, it's like, well, this is fucking garbage. This is it might as well be like a water pistol.
Yeah.
It like you really was like, no, it has to be a cap gun. It has to look like a fucking Colt.
Yeah, and it's got to like go pow, pow, pow when you pull the fucking trigger.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, how do we manage to survive that generation? I don't know. I don't know how.
Why we're the greatest generation.
Yes.
I mean, again, another reason why we're the greatest. So, but yeah, looking at some of these other Transformers, we talked about the Dinobots, how good they fucking looked in their Dinobot form or in their dinosaur form, which even the robot form of those, by the time we got to the Dinobots, because they were like the third series of toys that got released, something like that, because the initial series of toys that was released was 29 toys, which was actually a lot if you think about it.
Yeah.
Because it was a lot of the bigger size ones, and then a bunch of the smaller ones, Bumblebee being the big example of the smaller size ones. But yeah, 29 fucking toys in their initial release. It's pretty huge when you think about it.
Yeah. And then the next release was 120 toys. And that's when, like, I remembered. So talking about that Warpath one that you were showing.
Yep.
Do you remember when the Transformers came out and they had, it was like this hypercolor, like you put your finger on the icon.
Yeah, and then you would know if it was a Decepticon or an Autobot,
exactly,
right?
Based on pushing your finger on this thing. Yes, that Warpath was the first one I had that was like that.
Yeah.
Where it was like this holographic thing, and you put, put some heat on it.
And that was a big thing. And there were other toy companies that were doing similar things to that, where it was like, they had this fucking symbol, but you didn't know what the symbol said until you put some heat on it.
Right.
I remember there was like a rock, paper, scissors type of thing where it was like a fire, a wood, and a water, right? Like if your team was fucking fire, if your robot team was fire, you put your finger on it, it'd be fire, and the fire always beat the wood. But the wood always beat the water, and the water always beat the fire. Like that was some other like toy series going on at the same time. And Transformers, I don't know if Transformers came out first with that or if this other fucking company did, but
that was
a lot going on at that time.
That was the only one that for me that was like, okay, here's this latest release for Transformers, and it was differentiated because it went from the original toys just had the Autobot stickers on it and stuff like that. Then when this one came out, it still had decals on it, but you also had the fucking you got to put your finger on on there to see what the fucking symbol was. Yeah. It was fucking great. It was a great thing. Such a simple thing. That was I'm thinking about it fucking 35 years later, 40 years later.
And I can remember being extremely excited about
dude, it was
as a kid.
It was the bomb.
Yeah. Look up at the screen right now. Do you remember the decoys?
Oh, I do. Yes.
Yeah, they came with other figures from what I remember, but the decoys were like detailed versions of existing fucking Transformers. And I remember like being obsessed with these for a while. Like,
well, we talked about if it wasn't last week, it was a week before. Remember the fucking the pink fucking
Power Ranger?
No. No, they were what the fuck? What were they called? The little figures. They're like this big.
Muscle things.
The muscles, yes. They were like that. It was basically some fucking pressed out like about the same height.
Yeah, but they were, for some reason, they were so detailed. Like if you look at the detail on the bots, they were great because obviously they didn't have to have the moving parts.
Right.
So they could get more detailed. And I remember these decoys came with larger Transformers, and I was obsessed with them. I wanted them all. I don't think I ever got more than a couple of these. But
look, there's Ravage. Like, God, I fucking remember it. Holy shit.
Yeah, and this is all, again, Gen 1 stuff.
So my cousin was talking about he had Blaster that I guess originally had come out as a working radio.
Okay, because
as opposed to Soundwave, which was just the...
Right, because I knew one of the Transformers actually did play cassette tapes, all right? So I had heard, right? Which, if we were better podcasters, we would have done our...
Nobody wants to listen to us.
Well, and that was the thing. Over these first couple of years, we got variants on all this shit, right? We got so many of the fucking jet fighters, right?
Yeah.
Like, Starscream and his crew. We got so many different variants of that. So many different variants of the fucking cars and the trucks. We got a handful of variants of fucking Soundwave and the cassette recorders.
Yeah. So related sidebar.
Mm-hmm.
there was a part of me as a kid that this is if you're gonna sit down, you're gonna have the GoBots versus Transformers debate, right? It's not even a question, right?
Yeah.
Transformers obviously are fucking far superior.
Yes.
However, the F-15 GoBot was actually like it was scaled and looked like an F-15.
Did it?
As opposed to like Starscream, which it was modeled to look like a fucking F-15.
Right.
But it just like there was parts of it that bothered me as a kid. And because even when I was a kid, like in that 9-10-year-old, there was a level of detail that I really wanted out of these toys.
Mhm.
You know, because I built models with my dad. So
Right.
so I was used to a level of detail. So like when Starscream came out,
Trying to find a good one while you're talking.
yeah, look at the one on the far right there. Like see how it's transformed.
Oh,
Look at
yeah,
it
that
looks
is a
like a
good one.
fucking F-15.
Yeah.
And you know,
I'll
it's
link that in
simple
the
as
chat.
shit. Again, we're talking about a GoBot, but I like that the fact that it would look like an F-15 as opposed to Starscream, which was cool. It had the fucking, you know, it had the intake inlets and fucking the canopy that opened and all that stuff, but the rear part where the legs were
Mhm.
based on the fucking engine nozzles, the way that kind of poked out of the bottom, it always bothered me. To this day, it still bothers me. Like when I was on eBay looking through some of the fucking toys that were available, I'm like, man, I don't want to own that because that would bother me.
Right.
Like I'd be like, God damn it, I want that to look better.
Mhm.
And look, my cousin will tell you, like he's been on the marketplace. He just got that that F-14 Tomcat, the Top Gun one with the fucking he's wearing a Maverick helmet and all that shit.
Yeah.
Like that one looks good.
Oh, they've done a lot of those reissues too. They've done like a DeLorean Back to the Future one that transforms. They've done Star Wars stuff, like Star Wars Transformers. So they're over the years as we've gone along. Yeah, they've done a lot of really good crossover.
So many
fucking Transformers
toys.
like that.
So many toys. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
but again, going back to this first generation. Now, do you want to dive into the history at all of where these toys fucking came from? Because the toys that made us really went into that.
They
Where
did.
this stuff was already huge in Japan.
Yeah.
Years before. And they went way back. They went like immediate post World War II.
Yeah, turning tin cans into fucking toys.
Yeah,
like robotic toys.
Yeah, tin cans into like either like wind up robots or fucking vehicles or whatnot, and how that quickly evolved into the robot toy craze in Japan. And as you watch this, you see a lot of what would come later in America, the Voltron style toys, which Voltron is a whole other episode.
That is a whole other episode.
You know, but the things that all merged, like Power Rangers, for those of you who
just for a little bit younger than us. But dude, speaking of that, I had growing up like a Darth. See how big that Darth Vader is?
Yep.
Like I had a plastic robot. Right, it had one arm that you could like shoot off, and like compressed air, the arm could shoot off.
Nice.
It was not a Transformer. It wasn't Voltron.
Right.
It was just this robot,
just Japanese robot toy.
Japanese robot toy that fucking, but it was huge.
Yeah.
It took up so much fucking space in like my toy closet and everything else. And when I was a kid, something that size when you're fucking a 9-10-year-old.
That's like as tall as you.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. It was this giant toy. And I didn't really think I remembered that toy because of Trasner Z. It was Trasner Z. Thank you, Rick. You would definitely be the one to know. That looking at the Japanese history and like going into the robot toy craze and everything else, I swear I saw it in the background of one of those things. Like, oh my God, it's a giant fucking plastic toy that I fucking had.
Nice.
And it was almost, it had no size and scale to any other toy that I had. No idea where it came from. I'm sure there's some story behind it. But yeah, fucking watching the history of this from the toys that made us made me immediately think of that.
Yeah.
Because it's that natural progression from that. Right, here's your robot toy that turns into something. Now we're going to make it turn into something that you recognize.
And I highly recommend go onto Netflix, check out the Toys That Made Us, and watch the Transformers episode, because they go into this whole history with this toy company, Takara, and the both the Diaclone and the Micro Change figures that they had, which eventually got adopted by Hasbro to be the first line of Transformers toys. So Yeah, go back and watch this whole thing because it's so interesting the way all of this kind of came about. And there's really this whole full circle aspect to it with G.I. Joe when Japan decided to import our like 12-inch G.I. Joe figures,
Right.
but they had to adopt them to a Japanese audience, so they turned them into fucking robots.
They turned them clear and put like metal parts inside of them
and
turn them into robots.
Yeah, and that was the precursor to their version of Transformers in Japan that we eventually adopted into the US to become the actual Transformers. Fucking so crazy the way all of this kind of worked out. Let me reference my notes. It's closing.
It's okay. Truncated silence will take care of all
It
this.
should. So anything else on your history before we carry on?
We could fucking... The more we talk about it, the more we're like, oh, remember this toy? We'd be fucking, we'd be buried in eBay somewhere, fucking buying a bunch of Transformers.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We've got this website up right now that's got like all of these Gen 1 toys. So let's talk about the show real quick. So the actual TV show that was developed, it started off, the Marvel Comics guy, his name was Bob. I can't even read my own handwriting. Bob Bedransky. He was the guy that they came to. They're like, all right, here's all these fucking toys we just imported from Japan. 26 toys. You need to fucking give every one of these guys a name, a fucking backstory. Oh, and we need the first issue of the comic on Friday. So go.
Well, and what I found interesting too, like knowing that there's the one guy, right? The one keeper of the fucking holocron, as it were. The guy,
keeper of the Matrix.
His boss actually had developed a lot of the story.
Yeah, he developed a lot of the backstory, the Cybertron and everything else.
Because apparently, what I thought was funny in the documentary. By the way, if you haven't watched Toys That Made Us, like you should be watching it. If you're listening to this podcast, chances are you've already been watching it. But if you haven't for some reason, fucking watch it. They do a really, really good job.
Yeah, not just Transformers. They do Star Wars. They do He-Man. They do all kinds of good shit.
You'll hear us reference it a lot. They did a great job. Yeah. But yeah, so the idea that there was this nobody wanted to deal with this because the one guy said, like, if you're writing stories for toys, you're a loser. Right. So nobody wanted to fucking do this. Nobody wanted to write the goddamn story for these Transformers.
Which again, they referenced G.I. Joe, which when they had that 3.5-inch figure resurgence, there was also a resurgence of the comic books, which I could go on a whole long tangent about that.
Right.
But to get back to Transformers, it was this, again, multi-tiered launch, TV show, comic books, toys. They meticulously planned this out in kind of a hurry, because again, Bob, have this shit by Friday. But they planned it out to have this multi-level launch, even though GoBots hit the market before them. They fucking destroyed GoBots in the long run because of this plan that they had.
Yeah, it was a superior toy.
Yeah,
because they took what the Japanese had engineered so well, and they were like, okay, we're making this toy.
Yeah,
we're not fucking dumbing it down. We're gonna make this toy, put it out there for people, and we're gonna have this like entire story behind it. So much so that it fucking when we're 11 years old watching this fucking movie, we're like, God, again, I don't want to.
Well,
we need to save that for another thing. I know,
right? But leading up to the movie, I think they did a really good job of establishing these characters that us as 7-8-year-old kids could really get into.
Yeah,
and they talk about it in the Toys That Made Us. You got Megatron, like the ultimate villain, and Optimus Prime, the fucking ultimate hero. But you also had some really other good side characters in Bumblebee, Jazz. What was that other guy's name?
Which one?
Well, there's plenty, and they introduced more and more as the series went on.
That whole bit was Starscream, like fucking.
That was the thing I was going to bring up. That was who I always gravitated towards. Me and my friend Rob, we fucking loved Starscream. We loved that fucking sniveling little.
Well, and
like
episode
antithesis to Megatron.
Episode 1, it establishes that Starscream is basically like the fucking. He's the Padawan Sith, right? Yeah. He's like, fuck you, Megatron. I'm going to be in charge someday.
Yeah.
And then, like, it's like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes into the fucking first episode, right? And Starscream's like, I'm going to be the one who's in charge. Yeah. And then Megatron's like, no, you're not. It was like the dialogue was like perfect fucking 10-year-old.
Yeah.
10-year-old argument. Like, I'm gonna do this. No, you're not.
Mhm.
Cut to commercial.
Right. But for some reason, like, I always loved that Starscream character. That even though him and Megatron were both bad guys, he still fucking hated Megatron. He wanted his fucking seat. And it was this constant power struggle between the two of them that we saw kind of come to fruition in the Transformers movie. But flash forward to the Michael Bay movie in 2007, very few things I liked about that. But one of the things that I did was that little nod that they gave to that Megatron and Starscream rivalry, where it was just like one line where Megatron says like, "Oh, you failed me again, Starscream."
Right.
Which enough, that was for me like, oh.
And Prime was always
well, because constant. Yeah, the same voice, Peter Cullen.
Yeah, Prime was always a constant. Oh, holy shit. Can we talk about how fucking iconic just that character, right? Optimus Prime throughout our childhood, just that like Optimus Prime is that fucking guy. He's the guy who's teaching you the lesson.
Yeah.
Like, what was the lesson to be learned from this? You know, fuck that, you know, the end of He-Man bullshit where he's fucking he says some dumb shit before he jumps onto the fucking that ridiculous jet ski. If Optimus Prime fucking said some shit, we were paying attention to it. Because it was the voice. It was the fact that this dude who epitomized this character, like that gave the character this voice. And I didn't know the story behind it. Like his brother was a Marine in Vietnam, and
that's who he based the character.
That's who he based the character. I was like this level-headed, like, you know, be leader by your like these actions and be soft-spoken, don't overreact to things, and just like this, he was always right here.
Yeah,
he was always like this level, never too big, never too small, even in death.
Like my dick.
That's
sorry. Go ahead.
You probably don't. I mean, is that really? It's never too big and never too small. I mean, is that the sweet spot?
It is the sweet spot.
Okay,
ladies,
fair. That's fair. But yeah, the Optimus Prime, and then having that voice all the way through, like the Optimus Prime that's in the Michael Bay movies now is Optimus Prime from our fucking childhood.
Yeah,
and it's been the same character throughout the entire thing. And let's face it, the Optimus Prime toy, even, right? That's another one that I really am like, oh, I'll put this on the watch list because maybe.
Well, and the cool thing is several years ago, this has been a while now, but still, they did a re-release of a lot of those original toys that were the exact same molds as those original toys. So you'll go on to eBay and you'll see an original Optimus Prime at like $25. And you'll be like, this doesn't seem right. And you'll see it's a reissue.
Right.
It's that reissue they did probably in the early 2000s. But again, they used the exact same molds and everything else.
Right.
So it's essentially the same thing, just created years later.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean,
I'd take it.
It's still a great toy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and you know, my cousin's in here. I keep flashing his stuff up on the YouTube. Him and Bronco Fett are going back and forth, but he has a collection that he maintains on his desk at work. Like, you know, he's stationed up at Kodiak, Alaska, and he has a good collection, dude. Really good collection.
I believe it.
And like the stuff that he has had to take it off of his desk because of the size and scope of it is fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
Look, we're both of us. We had toys on our desk too. So,
well, yeah.
Do you still have some toys on the desk?
Right now, no.
Right
now, it's just a lot of papers and
it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Fucking adulting sucks.
Yeah, I
anyway,
gotta clean my desk.
Anyway.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah. Sounded like a gunshot going off in the distance.
Yeah,
no biggie.
That was a shotgun.
Yeah. Oh, so I took some notes as I was watching The Toys That Made Us. Do you remember the triple changers? When that flashed up on the screen, I'm like, holy fuck. I hadn't thought about that in 30 years.
The fucking purple ones.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, I know that fucking.
Yeah, where they had three forms. It was like robot, fucking car, but it could also turn into a train. There were like three forms.
Right.
I'm like, fuck, I remember that.
Yes. Here's the problem with being Gen Xers right now.
Mm-hmm.
All the shit that we're talking right now is that we can get it. we can own it
We could.
right now. We could do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd get in trouble for sure,
I'm
but we
sure I
could
would
do
too.
it. And that's part of the problem. And I think, this nostalgia piece for something like the Transformers, and we're talking about this, like, I want it. I want to fucking have it.
As I was watching that show, the more that it was getting into it, the more I'm like, all right, if I spend like $200 a month, I could by July, I could pretty much have all of Gen 1,
Yeah. Get all the original 26 or 29 or whatever.
I would love to have that stuff. And that's
anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, at least we have some toys. We're doing okay.
Right.
Anyway.
And again, this was all the timing on this was fucking great too, because these 2 years of Transformers, as we were 7-8 years old, filled that gap as He-Man was starting to die down and everything else. And like, this was the new thing before, like, the next wave of stuff, your Thundercats, your Voltron, stuff like that, because all that stuff kind of came around around the same time. So this was that unique 2-year period where this was everything for our generation.
And honestly, this is for me, right? Because I'm slightly older than you, but for me, this was the last like real toy thing for me.
Yeah,
because I never I was into the Thundercats show and everything, but I didn't like toy wise. Didn't get into Thundercats. Didn't there wasn't any action figures anymore that were that I was going to be getting. The Transformers was really the last one before I entered into that age where I'm like, now you're in middle school, getting ready to go into high school. Video games started to become more of a attention getter.
Right, because that was the late 80s. That was 88 when the NES came out.
Right. So the attention shifted. But like you said, we were so lockstep into the exact right time to fucking to have these toys for us. They were for us, damn it.
Yep.
They were for us.
Yeah, and then the Transformers movie came out and it changed everything. It changed everything for us. Changed everything for the Transformers franchise, changed everything for fucking Hasbro, and things were never the same after that. For better or worse.
The toys that made us, they brought up this thing of with why the movie did what it did, as far as like basically like we have another toy line that we need to put out. Right. What are we gonna do? All right, we're gonna make a movie and we're gonna fucking basically make all these old toys obsolete. However you're going to do that. Spoiler alert, they all fucking die.
Yeah.
Right? Die horrifically.
Yeah.
Horrifically, like, oh, no more life, black, Starscream fucking melts. Like, it's just like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
huge changes.
Huge. Yeah, it's just like, this
like is unprecedented.
You never had anything like that in G.I. Joe or He-Man or anything else. So, like, in He-Man fucking Knuckle Nuts would constantly get himself in trouble, or the King would fucking get caught or whatever.
And they'd add new characters over the years. I remember with the Thundercats, like 2 years in, they added like those fucking 3 new Thundercats that were like also on the planet, but we'd never seen them before now. And
just showed up randomly.
Yeah. But like,
I can't wait to do the Thundercats episode.
Oh yeah. I was huge into Thundercats, but yeah, Transformers, Hasbro decided, they're like, nah, man, we got fucking 108 new Transformers in the can. We need to fucking cut the fucking cord on all this old generation, and we need to push this new generation, which was, I mean, to me, thinking about it, this would work today, right? With the short attention spans that the fucking kids have today, totally understand. It wasn't really right for the time back then. It was revolutionary. Nobody had ever fucking done anything like this before.
No. Not when you're fucking, I mean, I was 11, but I didn't know things like that could happen in my fucking make-believe world.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't imagine, like, that was the whole point of it, was make-believe. It wasn't like, okay, this person, like, oh no, they die, they get destroyed in battle or whatever. But like, you're watching a cartoon, they all fucking, they crash, some fucking magic light waves over them, and then we're back.
Yeah,
right. That happened constantly. Like, okay, we're gonna fix people, and like, oh, my drivetrain's out of whack, and then they fucking fix it.
Yeah, we were never introduced to death.
No, not
in any, like, I mean, I guess in Star Wars we were, but in like He-Man, G.I. Joe, Thundercats, any of that, we were never introduced to this level of just like fucking death that we were exposed to with Transformers.
And not like it's the leading fucking character.
Yeah.
Right? All right, we're gonna kill Optimus Prime 20 minutes into this movie. Everyone good? Good? Not gonna traumatize any kids, right?
No, not
Cool.
at all.
Let's go. Do it. Fucking yes. I approve. Fuck.
Yeah. Unfucking
I know we weren't going to talk about the movie, but it was so fucking it was so pivotal.
Mhm.
And again, as we're talking about as Gen Xers, how these toys were made for us.
Yeah.
Specifically. And honestly, the toys that they're making right now, probably without these toys, you don't get the toys that kids have today. Right? If we don't get the Transformers, if we don't have G.I. Joes, then it doesn't advance. And our generation sitting right now who are fucking running shit, we're like, you know what fucking really worked good? Figures.
Yeah.
Right? These are not fucking toys. These Black Series figures, they're not for us, although they're really fun.
It's for display only.
I mean, look at Boba up there with his fucking.
He does look great.
That's look at these fucking toys. They're so amazing.
Yeah. And let's face it, they're not made for 11-year-olds today.
No.
They're made for these 40-year-olds today.
Well, but if I was an 11-year-old, fuck, I'd want to play with that toy. Holy shit. But think about when you were like with Transformers, you wanted to have the guy who's like, this is the the best transforming one, right? You didn't want the fucking GoBot style. You wanted the one that was like fucking, I gotta fold this and do that.
Right, because even like the Bumblebees, the little ones, they were still kind of a little simple.
Yeah.
Whereas it was the Optimus Primes, the Sound Waves, the bigger ones that had the better transforming and everything.
And that's what you wanted. And I would tell you that if these things were released around that same timing with the level of detail and the guns and everything else, the fucking I mean, half of my G.I. Joe collection was just to get the whatever fucking gun some idiot was carrying, right? Because I was like, wow, that's a really good imitation fucking M16. I want that.
Yeah,
yeah, dude. But you know what, G.I. Joe, Escape Pod, blah 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 blah.
Yeah. Anything else about Gen 1 Transformers, the cartoon, the toys, anything else you want to chat it up about?
Oh man,
scroll through this list of toys.
Look, this is my cousin just sent me this.
Oh man,
this picture.
What is that one on the left? The big, that looks like another one of those like Devastator type things.
Yeah, Rick, what is that?
Yeah, it's a combination of multiple robots into one. It's like a Voltron type thing. Yeah, it's awesome though.
I don't know. His fucking shitsthebomb.com. I'm not. Oh, man, so
yeah.
much.
Now, if I had had more time, I would have loved to have watched the first 2 seasons of Transformers, which they're actually available. Bronco Fett, who, by the way, he's the one who really pushed for us to do this episode in the first place. Our longtime listener, Bronco Fett, good guy from Idaho. You should follow him on all of the social medias. Just search Bronco Fett. But he recommended Tubi. Never heard of before in my life. Tubi.
Right.
It's a streaming service. It's another streaming app. I guess the big place to get it is on your mobile phone.
Okay.
And they're streaming like the whole Gen 1 Transformers on there for free. Whereas if you go on Amazon or anywhere else, you got to fucking pay for it because it's not streaming anywhere else. I know it used to be on Netflix a while back, but it's not anymore. So
before we get away from it, because I just looked at my phone, so I missed out on what my cousin was sending me. But I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to try and angle it. This is the F-14 we were talking about, the Top Gun one. Can you see it relatively? Kind of?
Yeah.
All right. So that looks like that's a legit F-14.
Yes.
That looks like a model. Right? And that's what he fucking transforms into.
That's
right.
The Maverick one?
The Maverick one with the fucking volleyball, all that shit.
Oh my God, he really does have the volleyball?
Yeah. And then there's the bottom of it. I mean, I'd fucking if I was a kid, I'd be flying that around. It's got fucking Hellfire missiles on it, AIM-9
Nice.
missiles, which is what the fucking F-14 carried. Like I would fly. I would be like, dude, this is a fucking model. I'd fly the shit out of this thing.
Mm.
I'd run around the house, up and down the stairs of my grandparents' place, fucking flying the shit around.
Which now, how durable is that thing? Because this is the one weird thing that happened. Loop back around to 2007, the Michael Bay movie. All new toys released with that. So 2007, my oldest son, Rob, he was 5.
Okay.
So this was the perfect age for me to start introducing Transformers, right? Because these toy companies, they're fucking smart. Right around when we got about to the age where we were having our own kids, they start reissuing fucking G.I. Joe and Transformers and Star Wars toys and all this other stuff. Very smart. Transformers movie comes out. He never saw the movie, but I started getting him the toys and he was actually interested in them. The quality of the fucking toys that came out in 2007, garbage.
Yeah.
Absolute fucking garbage.
Well, it's because they were mass producing it.
Yeah. And
they weren't making them for like, okay, here's this design that they made. Oh, that's too much.
Not easy to transform. Like I literally had to go on the fucking internet to search, like, how the fuck do I transform this fucking thing? And like so many small parts that could break off and you could fucking lose.
Yeah.
They fucking sucked, man. So I really hope that this F-15, the Maverick F-15, was built better than this 2007 line.
F-14. It was F-14. And I think the build, if I remember correctly, this is a legit build. This is a legit, like, Japan-based fucking build.
Good. As Frederick Martin calls them, the Bayformers.
The Bayformers.
They had a lot of problems. Yes, to say the least.
Yeah. This is, and he's the Ultra Magnus, like, he talks about it all the time. This Ultra Magnus. It's fucking.
Well, I had the Ultra Magnus, by the way. The first Ultra Magnus, which all it was a white Optimus Prime.
Right.
A white Optimus Prime that had this like blue chest plate that you could put onto him after he transformed.
Right.
But otherwise, it was just Optimus Prime in white with a different trailer.
No, like, all right, we're gonna make this toy. Just no paint.
Yeah.
None. What about the wheels? Nope, no paint. Just fucking white.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and that was it.
How do we save money? Don't paint it. Fair enough.
Yeah.
We're gonna write it in the story. Yep. Okay. Let's fucking do it.
Mm-hmm. I know they came out with better Ultra Magnuses later and all that, but yeah, the first Ultra Magnus, I remember because I had him, was just all white. We're not going to talk about Unicron because that's the movie and that's a whole separate episode.
It is a whole separate episode. I dabbled a little bit on it, but yeah, we're going to talk separately about the I think the Transformer movies we can include in one episode.
Okay. Start with the animated movie, the best movie.
Start with the best one and
then get into the Michael Bay.
Well, because let's face it, it went from this is the best one, this one, Megan Fox. This one, and fucking garbage. Hot garbage.
Yeah, pretty much everything after that first live action Transformers movie is all the same.
It was such a shame. It was like, all right, we struck fucking oil. Great. Let's just keep fucking sucking it out of the ground until we can't fucking do anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Rick saying they're great third-party toys for everything.
Indeed.
So researchers want it done.
All right. Well, that's really all I had for notes. Oh, I had one other note. Later on, this was post Transformers movie, but there was a G.I. Joe Transformers crossover. Do you remember this?
No.
This must have been like the 4th season of the show, something like that. Cobra Commander actually made an appearance in 1 or 2 episodes of Transformers.
Huh.
Where he was like, one of the bad guys was like conversing with him, like trying to get some of the technology that his old terrorist organization had developed back in the day. They never referred to him as Cobra Commander, but he had the fucking silver-plated face.
I mean,
he had the fucking same voice. And then I think it was like a 2-episode arc where he's dealing with him. And then at the end of the fucking 2nd episode, he's walking away. He's like, they don't even know what it's like to have a real terrorist organization. And then at the end of the episode, he goes, Cobra, because he was like old Cobra Commander, because it was like way later in the future. So Hasbro teased us. They gave us the tip of a potential GI Joe and Transformers crossover, but they never really paid it off, which is kind of unfortunate.
Dragon Buddy is helping us out. Cobra Commander helped Megatron turn into a tank.
Sure.
Yeah, we're going to have to yield to the knowledge of the chat on that one.
Because everything after the Transformers movie, quite frankly, is sort of a blur for me.
Yeah.
It all kind of blends in. I still remember bits and pieces of that, but the Transformers movie was where we had that paradigm shift, and everything changed after that.
You know, I said that Transformers was kind of like the last toy that I can remember, but when did Ninja Turtles come out?
90. Well, it was probably 88 or 89.
Yeah, so that was probably the last one.
Because the Ninja Turtles movie came out in 90.
The
31-year-old live action movie came out 31 years ago.
That's a whole nother episode.
Dude.
Whole nother episode, because that movie was the tits.
Yeah.
Like for its day, what they were doing with the fucking
and it's far better than that bullshit that they released recently with, again, Megan Fox, right?
I don't even watch
Michael Bay and Megan Fox.
I never even saw it.
Yeah, no, I saw the trailer, and the trailer was enough. Like, never gonna watch that.
Never. Anyway, but yeah, it's fucking Ninja Turtles was probably the last time I was like, as a child, was like, oh, I want to collect these. But I think it was because it had a lot of transition right into video games,
right? So
and the show.
So, we're talking about doing the Ninja Turtles. So I'm sure that's going to be the Escape Pods episode next week is Ninja Turtles. So
as it should be. We're here to tee them up. We'll let them hit the driver,
right?
And we'll tee it up for them.
All right. How about we make a compromise? You guys talk about the animated series, and we'll talk about the movie.
I want to talk about the animated series too.
Okay.
Because April in the animated series.
Well, she had far bigger tits in the animated series.
Facts.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really tomboyed her up in the fucking movie, which was not.
Yeah, we could talk a lot about the missteps with April in the movie.
Yes, indeed we could. But anyway,
but again, we're talking about Transformers, and we're gonna wind this one down.
We're not talking about Transformers anymore,
right?
We're done with Transformers until we talk about the movies.
Again, huge part of childhoods.
Yeah,
Transformers was. But it was a transitional phase, right? Where it was kind of the end of our toy phases. There was a couple other things sprinkled in here and there that we talked about, but this was very close to our transition from toys to like video games and sports and everything else.
And listen, Transformers was not a volume toy. Like, unless you were a single child or only child, this was not a volume toy. This was like, okay, here's the toys that you could get hold of or trade for or get at a fucking flea market or whatever. It wasn't like He-Man where you could ostensibly go to a store, go to Toys R Us and fucking get a brand new He-Man like every week if you wanted to. And like at the same price point, like, okay, boom, here's He-Man. And you could have this volume of fucking He-Man and G.I. Joe. And even Star Wars to a point. You weren't doing this with Transformers.
Right. Because I have a distinct memory walking into a toy store when Transformers was at its peak. And just aisles and aisles of different Transformers. Going from like the original series to, like you said, like the emblems that you had to do the heat signature on, to the fucking the clones, or the what did we call them,
the battle,
the decoys, and everything else, and just rows and rows of them, and just like hundreds if not thousands of dollars worth of different toys that you could probably buy if you had it. And just wanting it all, but just knowing I couldn't really get any of them.
Oh yeah, the Toys R Us was the biggest tease. It really was. I still at the end of this. I want a couple of the toys, and it's probably going to happen when I get my allowance. I mean,
sorry, Kathy.
Let's not lie. It's probably going to happen, but hopefully, maybe not. Maybe not. I'm hopeful. That I fucking don't turn around and throw money at eBay for a fucking toy.
Right. And again, but that's the beauty of being our generation, right? Because we are now at a phase in our lives where we can afford luxuries like that.
Have a little bit of disposable income, and this becomes dangerous.
as
Yes.
you can see on the YouTube behind us.
So yeah, what are we talking about next week?
That's a good question because we know what we're doing in 2 weeks.
We do.
So in 2 weeks, this is the Monday before the Super Bowl. We're going to talk about the top musical performances of the Super Bowl.
Right.
Between halftime shows, national anthems. I think are we going to do top 5 lists? Is that how we decided to do that?
I think so. I think top 5 lists.
Yeah.
I think that works out easiest.
Yeah. So between like national anthem renderings, which we all know it's going to be number 1. Like, come on, let's be real here.
We're doing a movie
for next week.
Yeah.
Do we know what movie?
Yes.
What is it?
Salma Hayek.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yes.
What is that? 25 years old now?
Yeah, 25.
Fucking hell.
25-year anniversary of From Dusk Till Dawn,
which is incredible.
Yeah.
Like absolutely incredible, because I can remember watching that when it first came out on VHS, renting it from the video store, popping it in. Oh, I heard this was a pretty cool movie because, in fact, the 25th anniversary of its release is tomorrow.
There you go.
January 19th. So we're going to talk about that next week.
Yes.
And this was my first exposure to Salma Hayek.
Yes, I think for most of us
it was. What a way to expose us. Holy shit. So that is what we're talking about next week, From Dusk Till Dawn.
So stay tuned, kids. It's going to be great.
Yeah, indeed. Otherwise, thanks everybody for sticking with us for this long.
Yeah.
It was a unique episode. Probably could have been better researched, but this is what we do.
That's not what we do.
Yeah.
Like we researched. We watched a movie that researched for us.
Indeed.
So, or a show or documentary or whatever. And before we sign off completely, if you haven't already and you're watching us on the YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and it'll tell you when we're live. So go ahead and do that. Pass it along, share it with all your friends who are Transformers nerds. So honestly, so you can, jump on there and yell and scream at us in the comments about, something we missed or anything like that,
which I'm sure we did.
Well, I'm sure 100% we did, but go in there, smash the like button. Do, what am I missing?
Fucking escape pod again. These fucking guys, I swear to God.
Well, it is the Super Bowl. I mean, we're not going to be the only people doing Super Bowl stuff, right. But at least we're telling them now so they don't fucking
right.
And we come on Monday and they come on Wednesday.
That is true. So
there you go.
We'll beat them to the punch.
But while we were beating them to the punch, you can find them ATSW, the Escape Pod, on everything that you can find us on as far as your podcast. Yep. Audible, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify,
and YouTube,
iHeartRadio.
They have a very active YouTube chat.
Yes, all of the things. You can find those guys. Find Keith Lehman. For layman's terms, you find him on the Facebook, if you're still engaged on Facebook at all. I think he just did a Magic the Gathering card opening.
Yep,
the other day.
Commander Legends.
Yeah, so I'm illiterate. I am Magic illiterate, so it really was kind of lost on me. But follow Keith. And follow Big Swede and all his channels on the YouTubes, and follow the Used and Abused podcast. Grandpa Scott was in the chat early, so yeah, the Used and Abused podcast. Again, you can find them on all your podcasting outlets and social media. Find us at GenXPOV.
Yeah, and please, even if you only watch us on YouTube, download the audio episode of the podcast anyway. And if you're listening to this on our old All Things Star Wars audio feed, please go to our From a Gen X point of view.
Are we still pushing on that?
We are, because we're still getting more downloads on that than our new feed, which that's kind of the threshold for me. Like, you keep talking about starting a new Patreon and everything.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that until we get more people downloading from our Gen X POV audio feed.
It's fair, because
the numbers are still pretty low on there compared to even the numbers that we get on All Things Star Wars. So I really need people to go over to From a Gen X point of view. If you listen to us on your whatever audio app you're listening to us on, just subscribe and download there.
Yep.
And because this is where we're going, guys.
Yeah, and podcasts right now they're prolific, but they're also like with people still getting back into that phase of commuting and everything else, probably not listened to quite as much.
Right.
So, but
and I understand that.
we this is where we live. So we're gonna keep pushing it out. We just need you to share it with your friends and download it on the right channel.
Yes.
Not a big deal.
Please.
Pretty easy, actually. So anyway.
Well, I guess that's it.
Yeah, the glory days of Toys R Us.
Oh my god, that's a show in itself.
Yeah,
Toys R Us. Quite frankly,
Toys R Us. It's yeah.
So many good memories. Like just going to Toys R Us, not even getting anything, just going.
Yeah,
and looking around.
You would go to Toys R Us, and you would never. I can't tell you how many times I went into Toys R Us and actually was allowed to buy something.
Right. Yeah. Very few times for me too.
It was you go in there and like you said, whole other episode.
Yeah. All right. Well, that being said, we are going to sign off, at least on the YouTube or on the audio.
Yep.
We'll do our post YouTube show.
Do it.
As we do.
Do it.
But
do it.
Thank you everybody for listening. We will see you next time. And remember, everything we told you today was true. From a Gen X point of view.
Okay, now what do I click? That was horrible.
I don't know what that was.
That was me trying to channel Optimus Prime.
It sounded more like Megatron, I gotta say.
Probably, I like Starscream, man.
And that sounded more like the old woman from Monty Python.
Old woman,
man.
Oh, what did I saw? Dude, you want to talk about doing a fun episode, like for a music one?
Mm-hmm.
I was in the car, and I'd finished Ready Player 2, right? So my phone was synced up to the Bluetooth.
Sure.
And so it started playing just random shit off my phone, like off my iTunes playlist. You want to talk about some eclectic shit, right? It starts out with fucking John Williams. It was like Reunion. I think it was from The Last Jedi.
Sure.
It starts out with that. Then it goes to a Meek Mill song. And then after that, it goes to what was it? The Sorcerer's Apprentice. Right? And then it goes to Bill Burr, like a short for Bill Burr.
Yeah.
Then it goes to a Monty Python bit. It's the fucking cannibal one.
Oh, Jesus.
How long is it? That's a rather personal question. No, I mean, how long have we been on a lifeboat? So then that plays out. And then it goes into another fucking like hardcore rap song. Then it goes into a fucking like a Beach Boys song. And then after that it goes to Taylor Swift. So it's like this timeline of like what the fuck is on my phone. I think it'd be fun just to fucking all right, let's just shuffle whatever music we have, however you're playing it. Let's just hit shuffle and see what pops up.
Oh man,
I think it'd be fun because I know for me, it's going to get to some weird shit.
Oh yeah, no, I've collected quite a
People are definitely going to judge, and that's fine. Yeah. But we have I believe that our generation has the best music collection.
And I mean, that could be a whole episode. That could be like a top 5 guilty pleasure songs. You know,
we can't do guilty pleasures though because Escape Pod did a guilty pleasures.
Fucking Escape Pod, Jesus Christ, man.
Hey, do we want to talk? Like, all right. So, for those of you on the post show, thank you. We still have 5 on board. Fantasy hockey, the trading, everything else. I have no clue. Really don't.
Yeah.
Fact is, I'll open it. I'll open it on the thing. I mean, I've actually I felt like such a loser. I'm like Googling how to play fantasy hockey, and none of it was good. Like none of it came up and said like, oh, you should do it this way, and you should be like, no. The smartest thing that I did during that draft was I picked up Flyers because they've been playing well.
Yeah,
you know, they started off on a hot streak. You know, and I'm getting points out of those guys. Don't know how to fucking do the goaltenders. What game copy is the evilest playlist I have been working on? You just sent it to me?
Who? What?
Huh? What? Anyway, yeah. So I don't have any clue what's going on in fantasy hockey. When I have it figured out, believe me, everyone will know because I'll just jump into fucking Cantina with a live thing. I was like, I have fucking broken through and understand fantasy hockey. So I don't get early on. Hockey takes a while. I mean, it spans. Football will be over, college basketball will be over. We'll be getting into baseball. Hockey will still be going.
Right.
So we have lots of time to figure this thing the fuck out. And then figure out at the end of it, it's like, is this worth continuing or not? But in the meantime, if any of you figure it the fuck out, I expect some sort of fucking, to fucking sound the alarm, fucking get everybody online, and let's fucking sit down and figure out how the fuck we're supposed to be doing this. I know Tony Ferrari jumped in the sidebar. We had this string going about, hey, what the fuck are we supposed to be doing? And yeah, Tony Ferrari saying like, I've never played the Yahoo one, so I don't know either. Like, fuck. It was a while ago. Oh, is this the thumb drive? I think Rick gave me a thumb drive. 1 song per band, most earwormiest songs. Yes, I think it's on a thumb drive that I have plugged into my car.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. Again, jumps around. There's no hardcore rap on that one, Rick. Though I will. There's some fun hip hop on there, but there's no like. There's none of that.
Right.
Again, judging.
Well, and I mean, I could go so many places with some of the music that I own.
Yeah, your Mariah Carey collection alone.
Oh, dude, you have no idea how in love with Mariah Carey I was. Like for her first 2 to 3 albums.
I'm getting an idea, Jason.
Dude,
I'm starting to formulate an idea.
Never had a poster on my wall in my whole childhood. No movies,
right?
No cartoons, no nothing. Until Mariah Carey hit the scene. Ooh. I had a Mariah Carey poster on my fucking wall growing up.
Hang on. POV ideas. What we had on our walls. Yeah, I'll save that because I think that would be fun to talk about. I'd like because if you didn't have any, you had nothing on your walls at all.
Not really.
Nothing.
No.
Kathy Ireland was my pinup. That was my big one. Yeah.
Yeah. I really enjoyed laying eyes on her.
Yeah. So I had that as a pinup, and I had a lot of stuff on my walls. Like I had the attic bedroom. So it was like all straight into the drywall, so I could fucking thumbtack pretty much anything I wanted into the fucking wall.
Yeah, my mom was a very clean person, and she didn't like imperfections and things like that. So I think that's kind of what kept posters and shit from being on my walls. But I kind of drew a line when it came to Mariah Carey.
Yeah, like this is going up here.
Yeah,
like you wanted to put your head on your pillow,
right? And it was I had to get it framed too. Like it wasn't just like a poster that I like put fucking tape. Like no, I put it in a fucking frame. And then mounted it on the wall.
There's like music playing in the background.
Yeah. Oh no, I was obsessed.
That's
like coinciding with my fucking obsession with Guns N' Roses and Metallica and this whole fucking heavy metal phase. Like they were running like side by side this whole fucking time. So
what an amazing time to be alive.
It was great, man. Like the music of the early 90s was so just crazy. All the different things that were going on. And I ate most of it up.
Speaking of, you see Paula Abdul is like doing a thing now. Like Paula Abdul's back on a show. Like one of these fucking masked dancing, singing, fucking
Kristen and I were just talking about that because, they've had The Masked Singer for a couple of years now.
Right.
Which I thought that was fucking stupid because it's like, what D-list fucking celebrity can we get to fucking go out and sing a song in a ridiculous mask? Now they're doing The Masked Dancer.
Yep.
And just that's the craze now, right?
I
don't give a shit about any of it.
I hate it. I think
but when American Idol first came out, I actually watched the first couple of seasons of that, because it was new, it was different.
Right.
And seeing Paula Abdul doing her crazy fucking drunken commentary at the time. like
Drunken
or
Paula
whatever
Abdul.
she was on. Like if she wasn't drunk, she was fucking high. I don't know. But Paula Abdul, who we hadn't seen for 20 years at this point,
Right.
you know, had her a couple of hits in the late 80s, early 90s,
last
and
thing
then
we-
disappeared.
Last thing we saw her was fucking tap dancing with some animated wolf
Right.
on a fucking video.
Then she marries Emilio Estevez. They get divorced, and we never hear from her again.
She married Emilio Estevez?
Yeah, you don't remember that?
No,
Yeah, they were together for a couple of years.
that's
And they split up, and that was right about the time where you never heard from her
she disappeared
again
off the planet.
until she appears on fucking American Idol with
Wow.
Simon Cowell and dog, you know,
Fucking
Randy Jackson.
emaciated dog.
Yeah.
Dude does not look healthy.
No,
Like it's one of those where you lose too much weight, dude.
right. But either way, like the first couple of seasons of American Idol, I actually enjoyed.
I can never get into any of that because there's a level of it's the dramatic effect for all that shit, right? It's like let's
Right.
manufacture drama into this particular thing. Oh, here's this person's fucking here's this side quest that this person has been on before they fucking get to this point. And, oh, by the way, they're not going to advance anywhere anyway. This just happens to be a good fucking story.
I need you to go up to Queens and get a picture with a midget holding these balloons.
That's
now I need you to milk a Cambodian.
fucking Chappelle, man. We need to get our Chappelle show.
Oh, I know.
We need it.
That's well, I mean, that's got to be a multi-episode arc, like watching Chappelle's show and just picking out some of the best moments because the dude was way ahead of his time.
Dude, Chris Miller had me on the phone today. Fucking like he would start saying some Chappelle shit, and it's like, come on, man, I know you know this shit. I'm doing Dave Chappelle bits on the phone with fucking Chris Miller this morning,
That's
and
great.
Major Payne bits, by the way.
Oh wow, there's a throwback.
Oh, I love that. Was a great fucking movie.
Yeah. Well, fucking Living Color, you know, which is where Damon Wayans started, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
The Wayans brothers got their
fucking in Living Color was so incredible. Again, groundbreaking.
Kathy was super into In Living Color.
Yeah.
Right. I remember
I was too.
And I got her, I think for Christmas or something, I got like the box set of In Living Color.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was like it came in it was like a little binder, like almost like the Chappelle Show ones.
Mm-hmm.
It was like In Living Color. And I kind of only knows where that is.
Like
now.
the whole series?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. It was like, I don't even know how big it was.
Yeah. And it's funny because you watch it now and you're thinking like, I don't see what the big deal is. But, you know, at that time in the late 80s, early 90s, this was revolutionary.
Yeah.
Like that content had never been seen on fucking broadcast TV before.
Yeah. Jim Carrey acting a fool.
Yeah.
Develop his basically the foundation for all the fucking characters that he does, you know, going forward has its basis in that show.
Yep.
Fucking think about Key and Peele, what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was the
has
thing. Like
basis
there
in
would
that
be
show.
no Chappelle Show or Key and Peele without In Living Color.
Without the it was that I'm not as well versed in Living Color, but I remember it being on and Kathy was into it, so I fucking, you know, watched a lot of it.
That was a staple in my house.
Living
Like
Color.
pretty much all of the
You
Fox
can
shows.
do what you want to do.
And that's something we need to do. We just need to talk about the rise of the Fox broadcast channel. You know, with fucking Simpsons, Married with Children, and Living Color.
Well, you can't even do a Simpsons mesh. Like the fact that the Simpsons are still on today, like new episodes fucking airing now from a cartoon that started from Tracy, the ass
Tracy
end of the
Ullman
Tracy
show.
Ullman show.
Yeah.
Right. That I was huge, like into the Simpsons. Like I could draw Bart Simpson, like which again wasn't that hard, but I drew it on all kinds of shit. Yeah, I mean,
my class picture in 7th grade was me in a Bartman
dude,
t-shirt.
the Bartman.
Yeah, but it was the Bartman with
Side to
he had
side.
the Batman cowl on and everything. You know,
Here's the dance step that you can't deny.
which I had that cassette. That Simpsons, whatever it was called, it was the Simpsons. It wasn't the soundtrack. It was like the Simpsons.
sorry,
sing or something like that.
I'm neglecting the chat. The voice. Tape them on blank tape. Yeah.
The Simpsons Sing the Blues.
Oh my God! Really?
That was it.
That's so funny.
David Bartman, track number 1.
I don't know why that song's in my head.
Like you recognize that icon though, right?
I do.
Yeah.
Here's the dance that you can't deny. Oh fucking! Oh my God!
1990.
That's 1990. So
31
years
ago.
Yeah, 31 years ago. 31 years ago, I started high school.
Yeah, I didn't start until 91. But
31 fucking years ago.
Fuck, I started high school 30 years ago.
It's you see this so this is the part of like for those of you who are still hanging on, this is the part of getting old, right? We're aging in front of an audience, right? Mm-hmm. So what we talked about even when we first met and like stuff that like there's this maturation process that's happened over since like when we were fucking tech sergeants, Yeah. And to watch it like especially as the kids get older and stuff like that, we're aging at a point where we can go back and look at it.
Sure.
I can tell you right now for documentary purposes, there's been a lot of that shit lately where I sit down and think about how fucking long ago some shit had happened.
Mm-hmm.
And just, it's not even like a fixation on being old. It's just a fixation on like how, like the idea that 30 fucking years ago, like this is what was going on in the world, and that it's not that far to think, like, because in our brains, right? And I think about this constantly, like, did my parents and like, do we all go through the same thing where we sit there and go like, well, fuck, 30 years ago when this and this was happening, right? For us, we go back 30 years ago, we can see everything that happened. We have the internet.
Yeah.
We have the internet. Well, tell us like, hey, we have this random thought about a fucking transformer. Hey, Jamie, pull that up. And now I can see a picture of the fucking thing.
And again, it feels like we're the first generation that can do that. Like every generation after us can do that, obviously, because they all live and breathe digital. Where
and honestly, even a previous generation has the ability to go back.
Yeah.
But how much of that was actually like it's a lot of fucking if that wasn't on fucking ABC or some shit like that, the YouTube shit starts getting rare.
Mm-hmm.
And so spoiler alert for I don't know if you're going to read Ready Player One or not, or Ready Player Two.
I'll probably wait for the movie.
So at the end of it, it goes through this whole thing basically where you're thinking about, immortality, like what the existence of all these things, right? All this nostalgia and everything else. And if that was like, you just keep pushing down that fucking river and it never ends. Right. And you get to live through the entirety of it. And it does, it's one of those things that prompts interesting like thoughts aside from that. But this idea of sitting here and kind of documenting getting old, because I don't feel like it should be that far away.
I 100% agree.
It doesn't feel like it should have been like, enlisting in the Air Force should not have been 25 years ago.
Right.
Well,
and as you can see what I just pulled up on the screen.
Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Yeah. Terminator 2.
Fuck.
You talk about one of the biggest events of our teenage years. Terminator 2's release, July of 91. We're approaching the 30th anniversary of that. I cannot fucking believe that we're 30 years removed from that at this point. That blows my mind because I remember all of the hype going into it. Yeah. I remember going to the theaters multiple times to see this fucking movie. I remember watching MTV for the Guns N' Roses song to come on so I could see You Could Be Mine again. And to think that this was 30 fucking years ago.
Yeah.
it leaves me speechless because like I can see everything from that year so vividly in my head. I remember everything that was going on. I remember the intricate details of the house that I lived in at the time, where everything was, what I was doing, what me and my friends were into at the time. To think that was 30 fucking years ago.
Yeah, and these are conversations that you don't like. Your parents never had this conversation with you. Like, what were you thinking when you were fucking 45 years old? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, that's probably for me. We have this venue, right, where we're talking about this shit, and especially with all the nostalgia stuff, because it starts opening up so many different fucking neurons, and so these neural pathways into this stuff. But yeah, and it's the idea too that like, okay, 30 years ago was, okay, here we are in our adolescence. 30 years from now, what's it going to be like?
Who the hell knows?
It's crazy.
God willing, we'll still be here.
Yeah,
so
we sit here and get to see it, and the number we talked. I think we had this conversation on one of the pods, but the number 2051. 2051. It's not a real thing. That's not a real number. That's not a real thing. It's like, fuck. No, that's not. Like 2051 to me is like, I'm going to be long dead and gone. I hope not, because that's not that far away. Like, holy shit. Yeah, it's like it is. It's really crazy. And you can pontificate about a lot of different stuff. And I think at the end of the day, kind of what we were talking about earlier with the stress about the things that you can control. Like make make your decisions for the betterment of you and those around you, and don't stress about things that are out of your control. Right. And you'll be able to get a lot further along in this with the stress level being a little less.
And I think as our generation, we're kind of riding that line.
Yeah.
Right. Where I think our parents' generation and everybody before that, I think they're like, yeah, why would you worry about things that are out of your control? Like whatever. And then you get to the people below us and they're like constantly worried about everything that they can't control.
And honestly, it's fucking pretty chaotic. I mean, do you think, like, again, it's all show worthy material, but think about when in the mid 80s when we were fucking under our desks for doing nuclear drills.
Yeah.
If I distinctly remember doing that all the way through grade school. So well into the 80s.
Yeah.
And then, all right, we're rewinding back to that time and then fast forwarding to now, a lot of shit had gone down and there was a lot of chaos. And I think if we had known, like had the ability to fucking see how chaotic things are, we probably would be doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Like you can't, it's easier for us to fucking separate ourselves, I think, from some of the social media and things like that. Because we don't have to watch the news.
Right.
We don't have to have the television has things. We can put things on the TV to entertain ourselves, whatever we want. We don't have to fucking sit through the news because that's all that's on.
Right.
Like, oh, it's 7:00. We're watching fucking Jeopardy because that's what's on. Right. We have these options. We have all these choices. So we don't have to fucking sit there and see how fucked the world is. Right. And we gain that benefit now. And it's because we're on that line of like, okay, we've lived through all this. There's all this stuff. There's still a lot of stuff in front of us, but not much I can do about that. Right? I just need to get there.
And we're also nearing that weird age too, where it's kind of not going to be our job to fight that battle.
Yeah.
We fell in an interesting time where you think about the greatest generation, right? The not even the boomers, but the World War II generation, right? These guys that actually had to fucking get on these fucking waterlanders and go storm the beaches of Normandy, right?
Or jump out of perfectly good airplanes.
Yeah, face certain fucking death to make the world a better place.
Yeah,
right. Where we were quickly getting away from that age where that's something that we're gonna have to do. Like when the next big fucking thing happens, it's not going to be us that the fucking country calls on. It's going to be these teen, 20, 30 somethings, right? The age of the 40 somethings is quickly expiring.
Yeah.
So we're in a weird spot right now.
And I think it'll be a lot more homogenized, I think.
Yeah.
Like generationally, because everyone has access to the same thing. So, aging through the process is just going to be that. It's going to be aging through the process.
Yeah.
Which is scary in its own right. But yeah, that 30 fucking years ago, Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Yeah.
That was the most important thing going on that summer.
Yeah,
There's nothing.
Which we know what we're talking about in July.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's the beauty of the movie ones, because we can look, okay, what movie was released in fucking February that was big?
Yeah.
It's kind of like From Dusk Till Dawn. That's, that was not that the movie is that fucking great, but the introduction to this Quentin Tarantino like craziness,
right,
and Salma Hayek. I mean, let's face it.
Yeah, like again, this was the first time I had ever laid eyes on her. Her in that skimpy fucking outfit, dancing on that pole.
Mhm.
I'm just like, I love you. I will do anything you want, whatever you want. It
Yeah.
was, incredible. All right.
It's 7:30.
Well,
So it's 7:45. Shit. So
Yep. So you have gotten a lot of nonsensical ramblings
Yes.
from us in the after show. Hopefully,
yeah.
it was.
I don't know how to respond to that.
What
Neither do I.
the fuck?
So
So hopefully, you guys were entertained this evening.
yes,
Thank you for sticking with us.
yes, all 7 of you. Make sure you please hit the like button.
Yes,
I see one little heart. There's one heart next to our
Ooh.
I'm
fucking.
not
Do-
sure I understand.
Shut up!
Do we get to see who?
Shut up! Will you shut up?
It was Bronco Fed too. So,
Was it on the YouTube, or that was on Facebook?
Facebook.
Please, for the love of God, fucking smash that like button.
What did Ohio do? Like everybody in the chat's like, "Fuck Ohio."
Oh yeah,
Like,
fuck
whoa.
Ohio.
Like,
Oh,
where did that come from?
Yeah, Ohio can suck it. I mean, honestly.
Are we talking about Ohio State, like football?
Also, yes, just the state of Ohio.
Did the college football championships happen?
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State won.
No,
Oh,
they got their ass handed to them.
so who won? Let me
Alabama.
guess, an Alabama team.
Alabama won.
Yeah, because the Alabama teams always win, apparently.
Alabama can suck a bag of dicks.
Yeah.
Honestly, that Nick Saban is the worst. Penn State.
What do you think about what's his name coming out of retirement to coach the Jaguars?
Urban Meyer.
Yeah,
That motherfucker. Listen, Urban Meyer in Florida leaves. So Brad Jacobs, right? Remember Brad Jacobs?
Mhm.
He went to Florida, right? Him and his wife are fucking alumni. They go to all the games and shit like that.
sure.
Huge fucking Gator fans. Urban Meyer, they get the national championship, whatever. Fucking, there's some strife within the organization, right? Urban Meyer basically fakes having a heart attack to get out of he's like, oh, I got to take time off because I'm having these heart issues.
Okay.
As it turns out, it was fucking like acid reflux, right?
To be fair, I've had that same issue.
As have I. However, you don't you're in the national media attention, and there was not the irony of it coming at the time that it did when they were having issues at Florida. It was basically so he could get out of what he was doing at Florida. He fucking goes into retirement,
Mhm.
and then comes out of retirement to go fuck coach at Ohio State. Right? Goes to Ohio State, wins national championships up there, fucking starts having health issues again, fucking retires, goes into the booth. Oh, now he's going to come out of retirement again and coach in the NFL. Fuck this guy.
Mhm.
You know what? I just here's the thing. Does he go and make the Jaguars a better fucking franchise?
I can't
Like,
see how.
I'm going through this with the Eagles right now. If the ownership at some point goes like, okay, I'm going to put the people in here that are going to win us these games, right? And you hope that the people that he decides to put in there are good enough to do it.
Yeah.
The Eagles, Howie Roseman is not good enough to do it. He's
Well-
the guy that should have got fired.
And it's a combination of things, right? It's coaching is obviously incredibly important, but you do have to have some level of talent on the field.
I think everyone that rotates through the fucking Jags, right? The Jaguars are always like the perennial fucking losers at this point.
Mm-hmm.
The only time they ever saw a Super Bowl is when they the Eagles and Patriots played in their fucking stadium.
Mm-hmm.
But you bring in Urban Meyer in there, like Urban Meyer's a name. Like, okay, players associate Urban Meyer with winning. He's won national championships. It's the same thing if Nick Saban comes out or Bill Belichick.
Sure.
Like, why does Bill Belichick and Andy Reid's coaching tree all have jobs in the NFL? That's because they were part of that coaching tree, right? They made a big deal about it all the fucking games this weekend. Like almost everyone that was playing in the games this weekend had some association with fucking Andy Reid,
right?
Like coming out of his coaching tree, and that are playing in the playoffs. So it's a name. Bring Urban Meyer in. All right, maybe we get some free agent talent. Maybe we get a quarterback that we can finally fucking win games with.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, or it's fucking Jacksonville, Florida. You can't discount the fact of where the fuck it is. Like Jacksonville, Florida is not the fucking premier place you want to be.
Right.
In Florida.
Which is why after driving through Cincinnati, Ohio, I understand why the Bengals have sucked for 40 years.
Oh, and you could say the same thing with Cleveland, fucking Columbus. It's just Ohio. I mean, it's fun to rag on Ohio. Let's face it.
Well, yeah, but
I'm Pennsylvania. Yes,
I've been through there too, and it's like I'm like, ooh, I would never want to live here. Why?
But yeah, Urban Meyer is going to go to the Jags, and I just don't see that the Jags are not a winning organization. No, I don't think it doesn't matter who you bring in there, what coaching talent you bring and everything else. And the Eagles, whoever they bring in, like Bronco Fed's talking about Kellen Moore. I don't think Kellen Moore leaves the Cowboys. I think I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah.
I think Josh McDaniels probably has the best shot right now at being the Eagles coach. And he's a weasel. I don't like him either.
Yeah. I
don't like you.
I think he was kind of trying to position himself as the Belichick heir, but it's clear that Belichick is never going to fucking leave.
He tried to do that in 2009 when he went to the fucking Broncos.
Right.
And then, oh, by the way, oh shit, I'm not ready for this, and then goes back into the fucking warm embrace of New England.
Yeah.
So, I mean, whatever. At this point, there's not a coach out there who's like, I want that guy, because I wasn't prepared for Doug Peterson to lose his job.
Yeah.
The person that I expected to lose their job was, if anyone was going to get fired, it was going to be Harry Roseman, because their talent acquisition has not been good.
Mm-hmm.
But he keeps his job. The head coach gets fired, and we still don't know what's going to happen with the fucking quarterback situation. It's a fucking mess. It's a mess right now to be an Eagles fan.
Yeah.
So, as we talked about before, I'm going to watch football and enjoy other teams entertaining me without having any skin in the game. I might be watching my future head coach in any of these games.
Yeah.
And, you hope that Patrick Mahomes, if KC is going to go anywhere, you need Mahomes to be back in that fucking saddle, because Chad Henne is not your guy. Fuck Michigan. Fuck Michigan.
Yeah, I'll be really curious to see what happens with Mahomes. Like, did they give any kind of update with him
I haven't
today?
seen anything today. This is the closest thing I've been to the internet today, is doing the show. So I haven't seen.
Expecting him to come back in a week after a concussion, after, he didn't know where the fuck he was.
And listen, there's a huge discussion. Like, think about what, as kids, like, you get your bell rung, you would have been out back on the field. Nick and I were texting back and forth. Oh yeah, you just fucking, like, you go, throw up, come back, and fucking get back on the field. That's what you do.
That's the way it was.
Or your head just, it was up until your fucking head stopped spinning, and then you fucking go. Or you just don't remember.
Yeah.
You were playing that whole time and you just don't remember doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's how it was.
Well, and that's a big part of concussions too, is that memory
yeah.
loss and everything else.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I had so many fucking concussions. Like, the problem with, like, our generation, again, we're talking about Gen Xers, right? And and let's face it wasn't like the football coaches, they were a product of what they were. It wasn't like they didn't know that we were fucking damaging our brains.
Right.
They just fucking like, yo, hey, you grab you by your fucking face mask and spit in your face until you fucking got back on the field and did some shit.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, that's how I would coach. But the idea that all these times, like, dude, you would think that in swimming it is a non-contact sport. But so many times when I've been in the pool and either hit my head on the wall, right, lose the meet. I lose consciousness in the meet. I'd swim 3 more events, nothing, gone. Or like get sick, come back, and then go swim. Like, because even in practice, when everyone's like, somebody gets out of their lane, they're not supposed to be, you're not anticipating, blam, hit heads with them.
Yeah.
Like it happens, and I've played like fucking touch, air quote, touch football.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, play touch football with your friends where you're getting your ribs broken and fucking getting slammed in the ground all the time.
Or you slam heads because neither of you have a helmet on.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
You're fucking not paying attention. You keep your head down and hit somebody. And yeah, all that shit we did with no helmets, falling off of bikes, fucking crashing, everything else. Not good. Not good for our fucking brains. To the point where if I hit my head good enough, like I had this light fixture in my kitchen. It was like solid steel. Right. For some reason, they had this fucking thing hanging, and it was in an area that you couldn't center the table on it.
Okay.
Like, so it had to be not quite like in my kitchen, like where the fixture hung would not be centered over the table. So you would always potentially sit up and hit it. I know Jeff has done it. Like other people have done it in the house. You hit your head on that thing and you're like, you're out. You're done for today. Like that's it. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to fucking exist here for a little.
That's while. A wrap on the evening.
Yeah, that's a wrap. Anyway, that's a wrap for this. I got to go home and eat.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for sticking with us, but we are out of here. See you next week when we talk about From Dusk Till Dawn.
From Dusk Till Dawn.
Is it streaming anywhere, by the way?
I have no idea. I haven't looked.
All right. Well, Jamie, pull that up.
We'll find out.
All right. See you guys.